Here, test, test. Can y'all hear me? Test, test. Okay, so it says y'all can hear me. Test. Hold on. I'm supposed to be able to monitor myself, and I can't hear myself, so I don't know what that's about, but test, test. The monitor's not working. But I guess as long as y'all can hear me, that's what matters. Yeah, sorry I'm late, man, but I was taking a nap. I was drained from all this stuff. I took a nap and I got a little carried away, so yeah, man, but this is I think a big win. I think hmm, okay, that's the problem. It's coming out through here. Test, test. Okay. Hold on a second. Test, test. Hmm. All right, bear with me for a second. Hold on. Test. Okay. Test. All right, this should be it. There we go. There we go. Okay. So how's everyone doing? Hope everyone's doing okay. Yeah, man. So it's a bit much, man. I mean, a lot of stuff's been going on, but I think one thing that's a big takeaway from this is next time, if all the Republicans have to do is just run somebody that is not overtly racist. And they're gonna be in pretty good shape, I think. Like someone who has all the populist stuff but is better at the dog whistles. I'm talking about as far as the non-white vote. Trump made inroads with everybody. Trump made inroads with everybody except white men. He lost white men, apparently. That's what they're saying so far. But I mean, he made inroads with everyone else. Like that kind of shows how fed up or unaddressed a lot of people feel right now by the Democratic Party. Excuse me. So you can only imagine what's going to happen next. That is going to be really interesting. As I said, white men saved us. Listen to white men. Yeah, I want to hear that get get spread around. Yeah. So if it wasn't for white men, he would have won. Basically. Yeah. So that's pretty crazy. That is really crazy. But right now, I'll tell you the biggest thing I've seen. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. I I didn't really feel very invested either way. But one thing I want to say is a good thing about this for Black people and for a lot of other minorities that were feeling disaffected with the Democratic Party. One thing I was hoping, yeah, everyone was mad at Janelle Monae today. Well, I think people already kind of are sick of her. So, like, what she said was bad, but I think sometimes people are already just kind of sick of someone, so they're just like, try it. We're just waiting. Like, people are just waiting for you to say something stupid. Her Popeyes um, tweet is like all time bad. That's like Blue Check Hall of Fame. Yeah. So, what did she say? Don't worry, we'll get to that. I'll say what she said. Don't worry. But I mean, because I have to pull it up and everything. I overslept and everything, so usually I have like a bunch of things already set up in other tabs, ready to be spoken about. And because I was already running late, I just hopped on here and didn't set everything up. That's why I'm not ready to tell you what Janelle Monae said. It's not like I'm trying. It's not like I'm trying to play suspense, and force a suspense. I'm just oh, because so many people are shitting on it. I didn't have to look far. Like I was gonna do search and everything. I opened up Twitter and it's the first thing that came up. So not wasn't hard. Hold on, let me just put it up now. Yeah, it's like I just opened Twitter and the first thing I see is somebody dunking on her over this. Um, so this is what Janelle Monae said, and let me tell y'all something, man. If y'all saw that, you should listen to not Escape from Plan A. They have a spin-off podcast called Unverified Accounts. I did an episode of Unverified Accounts. And that episode of Unverified Accounts, if you listen to it, we talked about Antebellum, which is that a new Janelle Monae movie. And I gotta say, I was one of those people. I was a big believer in Jordan Peele and his new black horror thing, and that black horror thing he was doing. But I gotta say, that trend is getting pretty bad because a lot of these knockoff people doing black horror are not really cutting it. This Antebellum is one of that new post Get Out black horror movies that is really bad, and a lot of the other ones I've seen have been bad. I haven't even been that crazy about Us, to be honest, which is Jordan Peele's second movie. But um, let's see. This is what Janelle Monae said. And actually, let me just remind people that we are on. Oh, here we go. Yes, here goes Mario. How you feeling, man?
Oh man, I'm feeling pretty good, man. How about you?
Yeah, so I didn't really care much for Us, but
Can you hear me?
this is what Janelle Monae said. She said,
Testing 1 2 testing.
it's kind of a funny type of bad, but Yeah, it's accidentally hilarious. But even being so bad it's good, it still goes through stretches where it's just boring. Like I like a so bad, so good movie that just keeps hitting me with the awful straight throughout. But there's some parts of Antebellum where you just have to like
Testing 1 2
sleep
testing.
on your phone or something. But when it's bad, oh wait, so y'all hear Mario? Because I don't. Yo, I can't hear Mario. I thought he was waiting to join. Yeah, Mario, for some reason I cannot hear you, but other people can. Mm. Hold on, I'm going to switch headphones and see.
Testing 1 2 testing. What's going on?
Okay, can you say something, Mario?
Microphone check. Microphone
Yeah,
check
I still
one
can't
two.
hear you. Let
Huh.
me refresh. Let me see if I can come back and fix this.
All right. Yeah. So what's going on, Justin? How you doing, man? Everybody going through their post-election withdrawals or whatever.
Okay, how about now?
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, I
Okay,
don't know
there we
what was
go.
going on. Yeah. Okay,
Cool,
cool, cool.
cool.
All right, there we go. Yeah, so what's going on, man?
Man, I'm just over here chilling, bro. I'm over here relaxing. Everybody's
You sound
scared and fretty.
Yeah, you sound really energetic, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm good, man.
I, I just woke up, so I still got like sleep in my voice and my eyes and stuff.
Oh, is that right? You took a good long nap or what?
Yeah, I pulled a Ken. Ken is the napper of the crew, but today I tried to pull a Ken,
Well, you know,
and it made me feel worse, man. Like I want to go back to
yeah, those
sleep.
well, I think they say the secret to napping is you're only supposed to do it for like 20 minutes. Like if you take longer naps than 20 minutes, you get groggy when you
Yeah,
wake
that's
up
what
or
happened to
whatever.
me. Yeah, I took
Uh-huh.
yeah, I took I can't even talk. I took 2 hours, and
Oh yeah,
uh,
2 hours, man. Your body's like you're just getting into that sleep cycle
uh,
where it's a little deeper,
yeah,
you know.
I was getting like REM and stuff. I went too deep,
Uh-huh.
but yeah. So this is what. Oh, first thing I was saying, Mario. I
You
think I
know,
said
Ken
before you.
keeps those crackhead hours. That's why he's napping all day.
Yeah, I think Ken said he never does a full 8 hours. He has to do 2 hours here and there. That's just how his
Uh,
body's wired.
Dude, you remember when we first started chopping it up, man, on Twitter, when we would DM, it'd be like 3 4 in the morning. I'd be getting up for work or whatever. I'll go check the clone room and I'll drop something off in there, right? And then Ken would respond. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? It's 4 o'clock in the morning, bro. Oh man,
Oh
good
man,
times.
yeah, man. I was saying before you popped in here, I was saying that all the Republicans have to do is just drop somebody that's not openly racist next time, but still appeals to the white populist vote, and they're really going to lose the black people and other minorities because how the hell did Trump's um base with everybody grow like that, except for white men? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. I don't know. It's a connect. I really don't know. I don't know what to say about this election, man. To be honest with you, who would have thought he would have lost Arizona? No
Yep.
one saw that coming. That was like John McCain's final middle finger from the grave, I suppose. I don't know, but no one saw that happening. And
Fuck around. You never know, man. Because he did say all that greasy stuff about John McCain, even when he died.
uh-huh.
Yeah, so you're
Yeah, I
right.
guess the takeaway some people are having is when it comes down to it, they want their racism subtle, not overt. You know what I'm saying? And he was being a little too loud and proud with it. And
I'm not
uh,
sure about that, to be honest, man. I don't think it's the racism, man. I think it might have been
no,
some other stuff. Personally, I don't think the racism bothered them. I mean, I think he might have just done a few too many things, like the COVID thing. I think
uh-huh.
not being able to get another stimulus through. I mean, the way he handled the COVID thing, I think probably actually, but even that I don't know because it said the places with the highest COVID death rates He won outside of like the blue states. So yeah, I mean, I think it was a mix of other things.
No,
Maybe the
white
military
people
stuff.
with money don't want open racism though. The bumpkins want open racism, but the money maker, the people who got money, the old money, they don't want open racism like that. They want to get
Mm.
their ducats.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, at this point, who knows? I mean, he had to lose them on something. So yeah, maybe you're right. I mean, it was only 5%, so that 5% really could have been because of that.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I mean he's just an uncouth dude. You know what I'm saying? He's a very classless individual
Yeah,
in
but
in that
see,
office, and
but everybody was saying that was bad about him before, and he was having high approval rates, and he won, and he kept crossing every hurdle. So I'm not convinced people suddenly cared about that. I mean, personally,
Mhm.
I'm just because to me, if they cared about that, they would have cared about that a long time before this. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I don't know, man. Flipping Arizona, like I said, that's no small feat, for Democrats. That's gonna be the takeaway from this entire election. You know what I'm saying? Him winning Arizona, and then fuck, man, I don't know, gaining support among black people, man. That's another thing, though, too. Shit,
yeah.
that's
Among Latinos, among Asians, and you want to know what's
yeah.
crazy? Somebody pulled up something. Somebody pulled up something that surprised me. They pulled up something about all the Asians that voted, and one of the stereotypes that happens among the Asians is that the dark Asians are more woke than the bad old East Asians. So like the Vietnamese,
Mhm.
the Filipinos, and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's true or not. I'm saying that's usually the stereotype, and it was the dark Asians, the Vietnamese, and the Pacific Islanders and stuff. They were the ones out of the Asians that voted Trump the most. Chinese and Japanese actually did the least, and Japanese are
Oh,
like stereotyped as the least woke of the Asians. And again, I'm telling the stereotype, so
yeah.
I don't want anybody to say, "Hey, I'm Japanese," and I don't appreciate that. I'm not. I'm not
Right.
saying it's true. I'm saying that's the stereotype, and uh, it was disproven. I'll put it up. Remind me if I forget, but I'll put up the chart
Okay,
of the
cool.
Asian exit polls. But yeah, but if you look at this, Janelle Monáe said, "Fuck Donald Trump and every American citizen, celebrity, white woman, black man, etc." who supported him. Burn. And
Wow.
they should put a little thirst trap in there and stuff. And she's one of those people. She's really pretty. She's got a nice body and everything, but she's got like no real sex appeal to me. I can't explain it.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I've never seen her and gotten any sex appeal out of her. Even though her body looks nice and everything. So she did this thirst trap with a nice big bathroom, and then a lot of people were kind of upset and were saying what Aki was saying here. Did she really manage to skip the demographic that supported him the most, white men? And how did black men make the list before Latinos? She didn't put Latinos on there. Is she on the narcotic? And this is what was funny to me, right? Um, Everybody got in her ass. Like I was kind of
Oh,
surprised.
word?
Oh, all day they just got on her ass, and I was thinking, I'm wondering if they're really that mad about that, or if they're already mad about her about some other shit. Um, so some celebrities, people just waiting for them to say some shit because they just don't like them.
Mhm.
Uh, so as soon as they say something, like Jamel Hill is one of those. Like Jamel Hill, people are always ready for her to say something stupid, like
Right.
so they can hop on it and start putting pictures of corn in her replies, always joking how corny she is. But as she was getting lit up, she had to come back and do this. Etc. equals white men too. What the fuck? Like telling people, leave me alone. When I said etc., I meant white men too. But it's like, okay, but why did you call them etc.? Why didn't you name them by name? Or why are they last on the list?
Right.
And also, she left black women off. Black women doubled in their support for Trump.
That's a story that we're not gonna hear too much about unless we bring it up.
Yep,
You know what
yep.
I'm saying? But they,
Mhm.
they'll duck that. But that's a bitter pill for them to swallow, man. I hope somebody does throw that in their face. Doubled, right? Isn't it under some estimates they doubled?
Yeah, they doubled. And you know what? Early estimates is that both black men and black women went up 4%, but for black men, the 4% is not that big a rise compared to the black women were already at 4%. So the black women actually doubled while the black men, I think, went up 50%. So
Mm-hmm.
it went from black men voting for Trump about 3 times the numbers of black women, even though both of them were still very, very low at the end of the day for Trump. Although to listen to some people, you would think black men became Trump's new base, right? The way people described
Right.
it. But black men went from triple the numbers of black women from roughly 12% to black women, or it's actually 13% to black women's 4%. They went to 20 to 8. So now it's like black men were just slightly over double the black women. The gap was not as big, between black men and black women this time. So that's pretty interesting. So I guess black
Right.
women are threatened by a black woman vice presidential candidate, because that's what they told us was the reason black men were gonna rise up. So I'm
Uh-huh.
guessing those are all gonna start applying to them too. Yeah.
Right. So I wonder when the conversations are going to start happening about uh if black people, if Biden won despite a low black voter turnout, what are those conversations going to look like? Or if he won because of an extremely high black voter turn, because I read somewhere that he actually won more of the popular vote than Barack Obama did the second time around. Not the first time, but the second time around. I read somewhere that Biden this time is actually has more popular votes than Barack Obama had in 2012, which would
Well, I
be
believe it.
amazing.
I believe it because people are so mobilized against Trump. Like I mean, this is like a record voting number in general. Like I think he got more, and also Trump's people are extra mobilized because they want to stick it to the libs. But I think they were mobilized, not really for Biden, but just against Trump. So I don't think
Yeah.
it's a really, I don't think it's really a commentary on Biden as a great campaigning or love for him. If anything, I think he really should have done better. I think this was still, for an election this important, I think it was more a lot of people just really wanted to get Trump out. But
Uh-huh.
um, one thing I think it's good that if Biden does win, this is what I was going to say earlier. Is I think one good thing that comes out of this. I would rather Biden win without the black vote, and because a lot of people think the backwards way, that they want Biden to win with the black vote, so then Biden will owe Biden will owe black people, but Democrats don't think that way. Democrats think
Mhm.
of black people as a captured electorate. So
Right. Yeah.
if yeah, if
Exactly.
they won,
And we
how many?
behave like one.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have a reason to believe that. Yeah.
exactly. We totally behave like one. So if that's the way politics worked, we'd be the most gettingest group of the voting populace. If
Mhm.
showing up before getting any promises or getting any tangibles led to people feeling a debt and paying you back, we would be getting stuff like crazy, but we don't. Like we've shown over and over. So I think Biden
It's real
being
easy to scare us into voting. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think Biden being elected, but realizing he got there without um as much of the black vote as he normally would have needed, which puts him and future Democrats at risk for when they run again. And if the Republicans just run anybody marginally better at speaking to black people, um, I think that might put some pressure on Biden during these 4 years. Like I've really gotta make sure I get these black people next time, because
Yeah.
I think one of two things happens. Usually the Republican goes, I have no chance of getting the black vote anyway, so I might as well not do shit for these people. And then the Democrats like, hey, these people ain't gonna go nowhere else, so why should I bother promising them anything? And no matter who wins, because that's what Ice Cube says. Like we can't just sit out the administration for 4 years and not ask for anything.
Right. Yeah.
But then what
No
happens
one in
is,
business does that.
yeah,
Like
no one
no
does
one
that.
does that. Yeah.
But what happens too is when the other guy is in, we basically kind of sit it out. We just get happy that we're not getting openly badmouthed.
Right. Want that comfortable mistreatment,
Yep.
Whine me, dime me a little bit, and then you can screw me over. You know what I'm saying? At least talk nice to me.
Yeah.
While you doing it,
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like we prefer.
That's like cheat, but don't be sloppy about it and make me look bad in these streets. That type of logic, I know yeah. But yeah, it's
you
crazy.
said they were clowning Janelle on what were they saying about
I'll
get
show
like
you.
a lot of pushback on that?
Oh yeah, but yo, I'll show you some of the good stuff. Hold on, let me show you some of the good stuff people are saying. Well, when I say good,
Real
I mean
talk,
like
DL.
I mean when I say good stuff, I mean like harsh. People were hitting there with some harsh stuff, man. Hold on, let me find out. Somebody put it on the screen some of the stuff that I saw. Like a lot of the talking points that we talk about, I noticed a lot of people are saying, and when I would check their Twitter accounts and stuff and see if they followed us, a lot of these people didn't even follow us. So it's kind of like a lot of people are coming to this stuff on their own, like, or like these talking points are spreading. I have a frozen screen. You can still hear me though, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm having trouble. Oh, here we go. It's finally working. I was having trouble pulling up. Okay, wrong one. Oh, but anyway, since I have it up, Colonel Gaddafi in the room asked, "What did she say?" This is what she said. She said, "Fuck Donald Trump and every American citizen, celebrity, white woman, black man, etc., who voted for him. Everybody got in her ass." And then she said, "etc. equals white men too. The fuck, she's saying like the fuck, like what the fuck's wrong with y'all? Because they're getting on her so bad, she had to do that." But that clarification was still messed up because that means that white men brought up the rear were the last ones to bring up, and they weren't even worth mentioning by name.
Right.
Yeah,
They all do that though. They all do that,
they
bro.
all do that. For real, they do that. They really do that.
Yeah, that's one thing that's just they'll try to say because they expect it from them, but not from people who's supposed to be helping them out. That's always their go-to defense for that shit.
And that's bullshit, because that's the case. Why would they be protesting the cops and doing Black Lives Matter stuff? Like this idea that they don't care what white people do, except when it's time to get hired, when it's time to complain that there's not enough representation, you care what white people do. You don't just say, well, we expect them to be racist. When it's time to complain off of dead black men's bodies so you can get jobs, suddenly what white people do really matters to you. You just be honest. But people were saying stuff like this. I want to give you some examples. People were saying, like, she deliberately left out white men. They despise the black man because it's about aligning with the white man. They can't stand the white woman because they want to replace the white woman and be with the white man to share the power of patriarchy they claim is oppressing them. So, I mean, this guy, that guy went in. There was some similar sentiments that were going around. I think she might have deleted.
That's crazy, dude. Like we made that comment years ago when we were talking about, I forget what episode we did. It was one of our early episodes.
Yeah, I think it was something with plantation in the title, I think.
Yeah, we made that we made that a while back. We were saying that a lot of it is they view black men and white women as competition to them getting to
white
males.
Yeah, exactly. And also, even if they don't literally want to sleep with white men, a lot of times white men have the jobs, so they don't want to piss them off for that reason. This is what I think was the earlier comment that had a lot of people just waiting for her to say some shit. Because when the Popeyes chicken sandwich thing
wow.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Oh man, she basically called us a bunch of Sambos with
Yeah.
that comment.
Yeah. I mean, some other people said similar things, like, black people and those and that damn fried chicken sandwich. And the thing I hated about that was, I know a lot of white people. I have white friends, and they were crazy with that chicken sandwich
They were
too. Like,
there, right?
yeah, yeah. I hate it when like all these respectability politics, talentless types were talking about black people and a chicken sandwich, and it's like, shut up. There's not enough black people in America to make that chicken sandwich sell out at every
Pop
Popeye.
like that, yeah.
Yeah,
Every time I went, it was Asians, white, everybody was there,
yeah.
Mexicans, everybody.
I went to Chelsea in
Yeah.
Manhattan, and it was sold out there, and it was full of white people and like gentrified Brooklyn.
Mhm.
White people, all the white people I know were eating that same sandwich. It was like,
Right.
and tweeting about it too, like on weird Twitter, like on left Twitter, they were talking about this sandwich. So she puts, perhaps we put voting booths at every Popeyes location while we wait on that sandwich, SAMMICH. You can register and vote at Popeyes. Holla, like, come on, man, who are you
It's
doing that for?
derision. Their strategy is derision and condescension, man. Like they cannot help themselves. They got to talk down to us like that, especially
Yeah,
for against black males. You watch and see. They're gonna get us one way or another. Even like, especially with knowing that 20, what was it? Trump got of all. First of all, I hate this thing. 20% of black men voted for Donald Trump. That's not. They say it wrong.
yep,
20% of the black men who voted
voted. Hmm.
voted for Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? But no one ever makes that distinction. So it just makes it look like all these black men are running around out here voting for Trump, which
And
is ridiculous.
and um, also something else too is somebody like what's her name, Kamala Harris was running, right? So
Mhm.
that probably might have helped a little bit if it wasn't, because there's probably some people who voted because of Kamala Harris, maybe. But without Kamala Harris, that might have been a couple of points higher, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
RP said she used to be very sweet and genuine. Met her twice. Last time was terrible. Oh, so people are saying even in real life she's been
Oh, she's
switching up.
big. She's big
She's been,
time in people now, huh?
yeah, she's big time and
Yeah, once you go down that woke rabbit hole, man, you start to switch it up when you get into that intersectionality shit and all of that. You start to switch up big time, you know,
yeah,
because she was more on the traditional woke black path before. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
She wasn't into
she's
the
more that
whole
Erica
yeah,
Badu type of Black
right,
Path, but she's gotten on that Tumblr.
intersectional.
Yeah, intersectional. Um, the first thing was she was tweeting stuff like "say his name," and then they all got on her, the Tumblr feminists and stuff. So, no, say her name and stuff, and she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then since then, she's kind of been on the Black Panther trash train a little bit, and then
Mhm.
she's been on that bougie train too. Um, someone wrote this black. It looks like it's deleted. Let me see. Did she delete? Yeah, she deleted it. Uh, Black feminists rarely have any smoke for white men whom they covet and desire because many want to replace white women alongside him. You can't condemn white supremacy without implicating white men, but in their selective, outraged mind, his ice is colder. And then
Mhm.
somebody said, "You nailed it. You can't call out white women with a whimper, but leave out white men. We know." Oh, that's too. That's too rude. I'm not gonna finish reading that. That's a little bit too. Yeah, I don't like getting that misogynist.
Right.
Yeah, that was
I hear you. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Some people always gotta mess it
So
up
you
by
gotta
going
take
too.
it. Yeah.
You gotta take it. You always gotta take it too far. I don't know what that's
Yeah,
about.
exactly.
Yeah.
So how's your circle and your family and everybody you know dealing with the whole election situation?
I'm lucky. My mom is not really a votep. Like she votes, and she's somebody who consistently votes Democrat, but she's not like a votep where she was thinking if Trump wins, it's like the end of the world for black people type
Okay.
of thing. Yeah, she was
Yeah,
just
that's
like
cool.
she didn't like Trump and she wanted Biden to win, but um she just kind of like I just wanted to be over or whatever. Yeah, so she was kind of cool with it. How about
That's
but
good.
but my mom, not my mom, like other members of my family are I have a lot of real Voltaps in my family, especially in my age range. You know, like
Yeah.
they buy Michelle Obama's book and love the
Uh-huh.
Obamas and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right,
So,
right, right.
how about
Yeah.
yourself?
Man. God. I hate to I don't want to I'm gonna share this just because one of the things that made me take a step back from politics um is seeing how like all my friends and family started acting toward each other when these elections were going. I have people that I've been friends with for since elementary school, and they stopped talking to each other because one guy was I think this was back when Mitt Romney was running. One guy was voting for Romney because I guess he considered himself a Republican, and then another person. We'd all been friends for years, and they stopped talking to each other. They haven't even to this day. They don't talk to each other. And so I just when I saw that kind of stuff, I had already started moving to it because I said, okay, something is wrong with this, man. Like, is this worth all of the emotional labor that people put into it? So last night, man, my mom called me up crying because last night it looked like Trump was gonna win, you
Yeah.
know. And she literally called me up, bro, and she was like in tears. And because she's, oh man, I can't believe these people really voted for evil
Oh my gosh.
and this is going to be the end of the country and this and that. So I had to stay on the phone with her for like an hour, just trying to. I was listening to what she had to say, but I'm not gonna lie, man, it was a very frustrating ass conversation because
Oh, I can
like when
imagine
you
for
try to
sure.
come with a factual yeah, yeah, but at the same time I wanted to try to be sensitive because I know it's so many, especially from her generation, that really believe like we're gonna die if a Republican gets in office. It's very hard. Like, and what pisses me off the most, what frustrates me the most, I guess, is like over the years leading up to the election, they talk oh, it don't matter who's in. Like, I've literally heard her say that, and others that are crying about it right now or were crying about it yesterday. All these people don't care. They all the same. They don't care. They know all this stuff. People, we were getting killed under Obama. It doesn't matter. They racist the whole country, blah, blah, blah. But then when it comes time to actually walk it
Yes.
like they talk it, the fear mongering takes over, man,
They
and they
they blink.
just, yeah.
They
and
blink.
and
Yep.
It's frustrating as hell, man. I saw a clip. I want to play that. I should have saved that clip. But there was this black mom. Her son voted independent. He didn't vote for Biden, and she's like just ridiculing this boy. You know what I mean? This young man, I should say. I don't want to call him a boy. And I'm just like, man, like she's really
Were they in
cussing
a
him out and
car?
going in. Yeah,
Were
you
they?
might have seen that.
Oh, you
Yeah.
know what? I saw something with a car being sent around, but I didn't actually
Mhm.
click it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Um, yeah, people were sharing it. I wish I saved it too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really embarrassing. A lot of people were laughing about that, but I'm like, she basically just emasculated the dude. I hate to use that term, but I mean, I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people complain about, man, why is there so many black men running around and act like bitches? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then they kind of being raised like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a man, you got to respect another man's opinion, you know?
why is everyone uploading stuff now too? That's the other thing. Like, even if
Yeah.
she is gonna emasculate him, either she or someone in their family, you know, because you know when someone comes out looking bad in the video. If that's a family member getting emasculated or clowned, I
I'm
wouldn't
not gonna
record it and
upload
put it
that. Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah. No,
saying?
not
Like,
at all. Right. You gotta have boundaries. Everything ain't meant for the internet, man.
people want clout so bad they don't care they have to clout their own family. People punish their kids for entertainment, like beating their kids and recording it and
Yeah.
putting it online, like,
Which is
and that's how
sick.
you beat your kids, you know? That's
Sick.
yeah, sick,
That's
man.
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even
But
read those threads anymore. Those threads just piss me off so
I don't
bad.
either. I don't even click on them anymore.
Yeah.
I'm over it, that whole situation. But um yeah, man. So it's just like somebody like this brother BL just said, it is very hard because you do want to be respectful when you talk to him, but it's just like, man, that emotion and that fear takes over. Like, man, she was really legit thought that if Trump won, that America was gonna sink like Atlantis or some shit. Like, it was crazy,
Yep.
man. And when you're trying to have a rational conversation with somebody and they have that mindset, it's like, what the hell do you say? I said, Ma, you said the same exact thing when Bush won the second time. Like, when
Yeah.
Bush won, I said they do this every election, Ma. You haven't picked up on that yet? Like, especially during in the 2000s on, the fear mongering seems like it's gone to another level. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thing, but it seems like the fear mongering has gone to another level, especially when it's
For
a
real.
Republican president. Man, they make you think that the slave patrols are getting ready to start back up as soon as a Republican wins office. You know what I'm saying?
And
Like,
it's like some
oh,
some Republican presidents really did make some things worse for black people, but also
sure.
like look at what Bill Clinton did with the welfare thing and the crime bill under his watch. Like people act like the Republicans have a monopoly on doing shitty things to black people, but I mean 94 crime bill, Biden and Clinton both doing the Wonder Twins activate powers, like, white supremacy activate, form of a crime bill, form of a welfare rollback. It's like, get out of here, man. Like
Uh-huh.
they treat everything bad that that Democrats do as they minimize a lot of the messed up things that Democrats do. I don't know if LBJ just
Yeah.
got the Democrats that much goodwill that it's taken like decades to yeah, and Jamel Hill's mom is a Trump supporter, and Jamel Hill just has a nerve to tweet stuff like, yeah, black men and black women are real different
Uh-huh.
politically. Yeah, like, oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
another good
Like your
one.
mama.
Yep, yep. The 96 Telecom Act, that's another one on the Democrats. Like, yeah, we treat everything that Democrats do as like an exception or just like, that was just
Even the
a,
crime bill. Like,
yep,
you
yep.
should. Some of these people sound like fucking Republicans now.
Oh,
When
oh
you start
yeah.
bringing up the crime bill, they do it. I'm like, God damn. All right, what y'all mad at Trump for then?
And I love a lot of people. This is what I saw a lot of on the internet, like a lot of millennials and younger saying, y'all have no idea. Y'all are just comfortable because y'all don't know. Anybody who was alive at the time will tell you everybody wanted that crime bill. It was the streets were crazy. You couldn't walk around with a starter jacket without getting shot, and everybody
Mhm.
wanted that crime bill. And it was a proud day in the black community when the Rockefeller laws happened. And I was like, yo, I'm old enough to remember that. That didn't happen. Like, and you're young yourself. Like, you weren't even
Right.
freaking there. Like, you're just
Yeah.
blatantly making up stuff. That would be like one of us making up stuff about boomers. Like, boomers love
Right.
that segregation, but to some degree, like people do that, I guess, because people try to say like segregation was some people say segregation was better for black people, but I mean, so some of our generation does say stuff like that, but I've never seen it on the scale of this, like things that people recently remember. These people just straight up lying about so much, saying,
Right. And it's true because we were there. You know what
"Yeah,
I
we
mean?
were
Like,
there." Yeah,
I was in that era. Wasn't nobody black running, at least not in the hood. Now I don't know if bougie blacks were talking like that, but in the hood, nobody was like, yes. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. like that's a holiday in the black community now. The day that crime bill
right.
passed, that same day,
They
like
saved
Juneteenth.
us.
Yeah, exactly. It's
I
like
was just gonna, oh, you got it. I was just gonna say,
that's the new
we're gonna
Juneteenth,
put it up
crime
there
bill
like
day.
Juneteenth. Yeah.
Shoot, some of these Biden people, they might try to make that a thing, crime bill day, just to try to. I'm surprised they didn't try to during the election, to minimize the bad press. Announce that they were doing crime bill day. Yeah, and also like, and
Uh-huh.
I put this in a newsletter, for the patrons. I made a news. I have a newsletter that I put up for the patrons, and in it, I gave some articles from the era because one of the lies they were saying was that the Congressional Black Caucus loved the crime bill and that they wanted it, and then Joe Team, Joe Team is pretty good. Yeah, and that wasn't really true. Like there was a lot of things in the crime bill that they wanted, and it's the usual thing. They bundled everything together, but there were like articles from the New York Times talking about how, and it's from the era, 1993 and stuff, 94, about how
Uh-huh.
they accepted the crime bill, but bitterly, they were very angry about it, and so this was the actual article from August 18th, 1994, and there's other stuff that you can read um about it too. And this isn't revisionism. This was actual of the time. So August 18th, 1994, blacks relent on crime bill, but not without bitterness. Also, the blacks part is funny because I feel like you couldn't do a headline like that
Black.
now. Yeah,
I
the
always
black.
love hearing that. Yeah,
Yeah, and yeah,
because the way you can
but
kind of. What was that from 1994?
oh, it's from the New York Times, August 18th, 1994. So if anybody wants to search it out, y'all can find it. New York Times.
What
Yeah,
was the gist of it? Like, what were they?
Oh, hold on. Let me reopen it. My bad. It's not hard to reopen. Um, I won't waste time putting it in the screen again, but it says actually it's very short. I can just read the whole thing. I don't think it'll take that long. In the
Mhm.
official congressional directory, Representative John Lewis notes that he received a degree from the American Baptist Theological Seminary and lists his profession as quote unquote civil rights leader. Mr. Lewis's self-description helps explain his abiding antipathy toward violence, including what he has long considered to be the state-sponsored violence of capital punishment. For that reason, Mr. Lewis, Democrat of Georgia, voted last week to block an administration-backed crime bill that would have greatly expanded the number of federal offenses that would be subject to the death penalty. So people give John Lewis
Mhm.
a hard time, but he did stand up on that. But
Okay.
today, but this is what happened. But today, looking sad and saying little, Mr. Lewis stood in front of the White House and announced, along with another member of the Congressional Black Caucus, Rep- Representative Charles B. Rangel of Manhattan, that he was changing his mind and would allow the House to take up the measure. The opposition of some black Democrats to the death penalty is so strong that 10 of the 38 black Democrats in Congress voted against the measure that would have allowed the House to consider the crime bill, even though it included millions of dollars in social programs that they say their communities sorely need. The measure was defeated 225 to 210. So, about a little over 25% of the black Democrats still voted against the crime bill, even though it was going to bring millions of dollars to their constituencies. But
Mhm.
yeah, the main thing was bringing millions of dollars to their constituencies, and they bundled all these programs that they wanted in it, and they lost the fight. And then it continues. I grew up with strong feelings against capital punishment, said Mr. Lewis, who says he vividly remembers the segregated South, where black men were often executed both inside and outside the judicial system. Quote, I think it's a barbaric and should have been outlawed many years ago. It represents a period of our past and is not worthy of a great nation. End quote. But Mr. Lewis is also politically astute, and as a deputy House whip, a member of the Democratic leadership, a defeat of the crime bill would wound the president, encouraging the perception that he was too weak to get a legislative priority passed in the House, even though it is controlled by his own party. Later in the day, Representative Cleo Fields, another black Democrat, announced he would switch his vote and allow the bill to be voted on by the House. Mr. Lewis, who once headed the SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and marched with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. I feel like that's like a part of his name now. That for years I always
Mhm.
say,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Martin Luther King, his official last name, said it's quote, it's been one of the most difficult decisions I've had to make in the 8 years since I've been here. It was much easier to march across the bridge in Selma, that damn bridge in Selma, or go on the freedom rides. Everything
Mhm.
then was clearly black and white. End quote. And it continues, it's almost over the article. Crime bills are tough votes for black lawmakers. Blacks are far more likely than whites to be the victim of violent crime, and some polls have found they are more af- afraid of whites. Um, they are more afraid than whites of being murdered or mugged, but blacks have consistently been less willing than whites to approve of capital punishment. This year, a tricky vote
Mhm.
on the crime bill became even tougher when the 33 billion measure was sweetened with more than $7 billion for crime prevention program. So basically, they kept trying to sweeten the deal to get the black lawmakers to vote on it. So it already had
Yeah.
$33 billion measure. Then they threw in $7 billion for crime prevention, including millions for the kind of federal aid for inner cities that black Democrats have been demanding and generally not getting for many, many years. That
Mm.
money and the prospect that even an even more draconian crime bill could be enacted. So something else that they threatened with them with was that if you guys don't take this one, we're gonna introduce an even more draconian one with less money for
Mhm.
social programs
Damn.
and without a ban on 19 different types of assault weapons, because the assault weapon ban is what got Bernie Sanders to switch on it too, because it was going to include
Right.
an
Some
assault
type of
weapon ban.
violence against women act as well, or something like that.
Yeah, they threatened to remove all
Uh-huh.
that social money and remove the assault weapon ban if they didn't take it in this form, and that was enough to induce 28 of the 38 black Democrats to vote last Thursday to allow the bill to be considered by the full House. But for some of them, the money was not enough to outweigh their loathing of a bill that would expand the number of federal crimes punishable by death from a handful to more than 50, including offenses like terrorism, drive-by shooting, and drug trafficking. So,
Damn, they had drug trafficking
yep, yep.
is eligible for the death penalty.
Of course,
God damn.
apparently, I
They
don't
have
know if in
something
the
in common
final
with the
form.
Philippines president.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why a lot of people were like very like, "There's no way we're gonna vote for Joe Biden," especially when
Yeah.
you see some of the stuff he said on the floor. It was kind of crazy. Some of the stuff he was saying.
Yeah. I watched that so
And
many times.
yeah, yeah, and
I
since
just
just
asked
Mhm.
I just asked my mom. I said if because I played that clip for my mom a while back, and I asked her, you know, if you flip that and put Newt Gingrich on the on the floor saying the exact same things that Joe Biden was saying, you guys would be in an uproar. Just admit that, and then we could move on from the conversation. You know what I'm saying? And she admitted that. She said, yeah, because they have a history of being like that. I'm like, well, that mom, that don't make no damn sense.
But no,
Yeah.
but how do Democrats not have that history too? But it's like nothing counts when they do
No,
it. Everything
you
is
can
an exception.
rationalize anything.
You know what it's like? It's like how no matter how many bad cops we see, it's forever the few bad apples narrative. And it's like those bad apples are like 60% of the force, it seems. And not just that.
Right,
Why are the good apples not doing anything to stop the bad apples? Like why is that happening? But a protester,
right.
a protest could be going peaceful for like 99 days. And if something pops off on the 100th day, it's a violent protest. The protesters are all
Mhm.
violent. It's a bunch of rioters. Yeah, I feel like that's the same thing with the Democrats and the Republicans. Like, um, the Democrats, everything is an exception. Just like every bad cop is one of the few bad apples. Even if
Right,
every day there's
exactly.
a story of the cops popping
Yeah,
off.
they
It's
get they
crazy.
got that permanent pass, man. You
Yeah,
know, and
yeah. Somehow they've earned all that goodwill. But I have something. I want to pull up. No, I'm gonna find it because I had something with. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Someone put a nice compilation clip of all the jacked up stuff that Biden said, and when you see it put
I
together,
think I've seen that.
it's really yeah, it's really jacked up, and I'm gonna find it real quick. But yeah, when I saw that thing, I was like, man, Jim Crow Joe's right. This is some stuff, and
What you
this is
call, they
what
call him
people never.
Jim Crow Joe?
Yeah, they call him Jim Crow Joe. Yeah. Oh, you never heard that one?
No, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, but but yeah, what was funny about that to me, right? Um, this is what I thought was really tacky. Joe Biden, Donald Trump tweet, right, where he says, "Yeah, um, black men are not going to vote for Joe Biden this time. They're voting Trump, because Joe Biden called them super predators and stuff like that. And then a lot of these kind of blue check and, political black people and liberal blacks, they all came out and was like, sir, you are lying. You are lying. He did not say that, right?
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people are like, fact check, president, you are wrong. Cap, saying all this stuff,
Right.
right? So
Right.
they were going hard to defend Joe Biden against Trump. But this was funny. Technically, Trump was lying, and it kind of makes it worse to me though. I'm gonna show you why. I'm gonna
Okay.
put it on real quick, right? Check this out. So this is what he actually said, and this made me even madder at the black people who were like defending him. And so this is what he actually said. Let me know if you hear, if you put the sound, if I put the sound on. I forgot if I clicked that box.
Right.
There's about 100.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, sound a little bit loud. I'm gonna put the volume down.
There's about 100,000 of them who are the predators. 100,000 of the kids you read about in the front page of the newspaper every day. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without care, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, a portion of them will become the predators.
He said they have no
15 years
conscience.
now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Oh man, did he?
There's about 100,000 of them who are the predators.
You muted yourself, T.
Yeah, and he said take him out of society, like some final solution stuff. He said
that's
but
just sounded like some
yeah, that's like some Nazi
it
shit.
sound like some final solution, yeah.
Yeah, and he said also in some other clips, not in that one, he said that he doesn't care what societal solutions led them there, what's going on in their home life, their money situations, and all types of jacked up stuff. But what the black people were doing, right? A lot of these like pundits and stuff is they were splitting hairs, because if you notice, he never says super predators. So technically, Trump was lying. People were kind of like going at them like, okay, so he didn't specifically say super predators. He said predators like 6-7 times. Like, like you should be ashamed of yourself caping for him like on technicalities, They're trying to say that was Hillary Clinton, sir. That was not, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So
monsters, inhuman, subhuman.
Yeah.
He was basically, and then
predators.
Then he threw in the born out of wedlock. You know
born
what I'm
out of
That's
wedlock.
a favorite conservative talking point.
Yeah. Born out of wedlock. No conscience, like no moral, no development of morals. I'm sorry, you were saying something.
Yeah. I was going to say, to put this in context as well, a lot of people forget that this was during the time when Newt Gingrich and all of those Republicans were coming up and getting ready to take over. And I think what this was Democrats trying to show they were tougher on crime and all this shit. So this was just as much as a dick measuring contest as it was them actually caring about crime in the community.
Oh, he said that himself. He explicitly said that he was doing it so people will stop saying that Democrats aren't tough on crime. He said that, like, he wanted to say from now on, when people think about tough on crime, they're gonna think about the guy from Delaware, and suddenly now he's saying, hey, it's not fair to think about me when you talk about in fact, hold on, I think I pulled it up, right? So just to show that this is something explicit, it's not revisionism, we're gonna pull it up. I just found it real quick.
Take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society.
Yeah, so he's like, I don't care even anything about the system of white supremacy or anything that led to this happening. I don't care. He said explicitly.
It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife.
Meanwhile, his son has like been on crack since, whatever.
Right.
Take on my sons. So
those sons are his.
What made them do this? They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing. Because
Mad Max in the hood, man.
Yep.
Fury Road.
Because
somebody put with this clip up, right, and said it's no wonder all these black blue checks like him because he thinks about black men the way they do.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, but the way that he's talking about them, a lot of these black blue checks, they think the same way about black men. They'll tweet that same shit. So of course, if anything, that probably got them even like more moist. They were like, "Yes, this is our guy." Hold on.
They literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity.
Well, that's kind of messed up. He says two things at once. He says they haven't been socialized, like pathologizing them, but he also admits they haven't been given an opportunity, or I don't care what society did to them. So he's kind of taking blame and still blaming them. He's kind of like, yeah, we fucked them over, but hey, tough noogies. Like, at least the Republicans would say society gave them every opportunity, but these people just don't want to work. They don't want to do things. They don't want to, like Republicans are racist, usually don't like to admit that these people didn't get the right opportunities, that society might have messed them over. He's kind of trying to play it both ways. He's saying, yeah, society, maybe it did mess them up. Maybe it did do all these things. Maybe it did, but you know what? Screw it. I'm scared of them attacking or whatever my wife and son, my crack smoking son. They need who cares? Like that's it. That's actually worse, I think.
Yeah, much worse. Appreciate it, G-Rock.
We appreciate focus on them now. If we don't,
thanks, G-Rock. I didn't see that.
Or a portion of them will become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family.
That's another example of what I was talking about. Is that just because we created them doesn't mean that we shouldn't take them out. Like, that's more heinous to me. Like, because like I said, Republicans,
that's crazy.
Yeah, Republicans would say that
Frankenstein monster.
Yeah, exactly. It's a monster we created, but we're gonna take it out and we don't care. That's extra callous. That's a party of no accountability for sure. Hold on, I'm gonna rewind that again because that's crazy.
Created. Again, it does not mean in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created.
So society has created them, and then we don't give a fuck.
Right.
Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them.
That's sociopathic.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. And the truth is, we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point.
So they're not even fixable.
Sad truth. I'm the guy that said.
Can you picture getting madder at Ice Cube than you are at this guy? Can you imagine?
That's one step before euthanizing people. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's literally That's
they
run
kind
up
of,
to final solution shit.
but when they were expanding that death penalty, I mean, that is kind of euthanizing them. I mean,
Yeah.
they did basically euthanize them. They expanded the death penalty to so much stuff. But yeah, picture you as a black person. Ice Cube gets you. You're getting mad at Ice Cube over this guy. This guy is the one that you're gonna stake your whole reputation and your whole whatever going to the mattresses to defend and excommunicate. You're inviting this guy to the cookout, and the excuses you're using, some of the lame excuses. Yeah, Ice Cube, you called women bitches. It's like, yeah, this guy said way worse. But anyway.
Rehabilitation. When it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our
He said he can't even. He said prison. The goal shouldn't be rehabilitation because we don't even know how to rehabilitate these people. And the few times it happens, it's like spontaneous combustion. We can't figure it out. Like it
And
means we're
that's
trying
what
to
it is.
space
Yeah.
aliens. Are these people
That's
even
what it
human?
is too. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why you don't, especially in the state of California, you don't get straight time anymore for crimes. Like I remember back in the day, and I know this is gonna sound crazy. It's nothing. I don't look at it as a positive. I'm just using it as a point of reference. I read a story where a guy, I think he killed a girl on a bus, on a public bus, like a metro bus. He was trying to shoot his enemy, it was on some gangbanging shit. He was trying to kill his enemy, and he ended up killing an innocent girl. And they caught him. I think he ended up killing 2 people on that bus. Neither one of them were gang members. Dude only got 27 years. He's getting ready to get out pretty soon if he's not out already. That was because the crime happened back in the mid 90s, right? Before these laws really kicked into high gear. See, when they passed these laws, I'm just strictly talking about in California because that's all I really know, is they didn't really go into overdrive until like late 2000s, like 2000, I would say about 2005 and up is when they really started like the gang enhancements and all that kind of shit, where now it's not straight time for a crime anymore. Let's say you commit manslaughter. You used to get, 7 year, 8, 9, 10 years for it. You would get that 10 years and then another 30 years added on in addition to the main crime, right? 10 years for having a gun, another 5 years for each bullet in the magazine that's just crazy, another 5 years just for even being in a gang, right? They added all this shit on. So now a crime that a person used to get 10 years for turns into a crime where the person is getting 40 years. So they never have a chance in hell of getting out of jail.
Wow.
Of getting out of prison now, until they're 70 or 80 years old, and that's the part that a lot of people feel some type of way about, at least out here in California. In other states, they have like mandatory minimums and shit like that, which is another conversation altogether, but
Yeah. That's crazy, man. And yeah, I mean the way that people were throwing other black people under the bus for this guy, but at least the blue checks, I get it because they want jobs. They're praying for them jobs, man.
Yeah.
Oof. Anyway, this is almost done. Let me just finish it off because it's worth watching the whole thing. Hold on.
Yeah.
The federal system, you serve 85% of your time. It's a shame, but we don't know how to rehabilitate. But there is a consensus, and I will cease. We must make the streets safer. I don't care why someone is a malfactor in society. I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society, try to help them, try to change the behavior. That's why we do in this bill. We have drug treatment and we have other treatments.
But he admits that he doesn't think it's possible, and that no one knows how it's done. And when it does happen, there's no rhyme or reason to it because these people are so beyond the pale. So
I also love the amateur psychological diagnosis there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're sociopaths. They have antisocial behavior issues, all that kind of shit. Man, all right.
Yeah. Yep. That's Joe Freud.
Try to deal with it, but they are in jail. Away from my mother, your husband, our families.
You know what that is? That's coded language right there.
Yep. And a lot of that, is with the mothers and whatever. A lot of that's rape, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to drugs, because a lot of these people, they're not worried about drugs in their backyards, but they are worried about that rape stuff. I mean, this is some old Dixiecrat talk, man. I mean, this guy could have been
just slide old Strom Thurmond in there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
When people call him Jim Crow Joe, they're not joking. He had a lot of Jim Crow talking points,
Oh yeah.
We would be absolutely stupid as a society if we didn't recognize the condition that nurtured.
And he only really apologized for this finally, and even then it was a sorry not sorry thing, like in the last 30 days. And a lot of these black blue checks, when you brought it up, they're like, he apologized for that. It's like, yeah, because it wasn't going away. It wasn't like this was some big contrition. It was like, okay, fine. All right. But
yeah, my mom said that. My mom said that last night. My mom said the same shit. He apologized.
And
I'm like, damn.
And I hate doing this because people do it all the time, but there's some truth to it. I can't lie. I hate people always have to bring up the Jewish comparison, but if you say anything anti-Semitic or along the lines of a Holocaust, a Jewish person, like that never forget thing is real. They find war criminals who was just like doing the books in the Nazis. Like somebody was just like working in the accounts department, like not even like a camp guard or whatever. If they find even anytime they find these people, you always see the international news, like ex-Nazi from, who was living quietly, 60 years, has done nothing anti-Semitic, whatever, was a
Nazi collaborator.
Yeah, was in the accounting department. Was the intern in the accounting department. They didn't have interns, but you know the joke. Anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. They found him and they're gonna try him. Like they straight up try 80 and 90-year-olds over this, and we cannot wait to fall over backwards and forgive something that this is not that long ago. It's not even.
We're expected to forgive too.
That's exactly. Oh yeah. People feel entitled to our forgiveness, including other black people yell at us for
for not accepting it's crazy, man. Like
and we must deal with that.
Yep. That's that, man.
That's Joe.
Thank God we are getting a racist out of the White House. Thank goodness, man. People talk about Trump, but I'll say, this was funny. This makes him hypocritical too, right? A lot of these blue checks and a lot of these liberals, they will love to bring up the ad that Trump took out about the Central Park 5, and I'm like, that's an ad. I'm not giving it a pass. It sucks, but this is an actual law that was on the books for decades that killed mad people. So that's what makes it even more hypocritical. Like they will say forget the past or whatever, but and I'm talking about before Joe Biden even gave his fake ass apology in the last 30 days. They were at the time neither of them apologized for it, but they were like, "Yeah, you okay? What Trump did with that ad?" And I'm like, "Okay, so if you're saying it's okay to bring up decades old stuff, then." This is from like almost 10 years later, Oh no, that's different. Like, shut up, man. You guys just don't care about anything. You have no self-respect.
And it was wild. The crime bill made it possible to have more Central Park 5s.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. Like the way the laws are designed now, I think in California and some other states, I'm going off the top of my head, so don't quote me on this, but I believe when you talk about convictions, I think it's something like 89, 90% of convictions in the state of California are plea deals. So the issue is that a lot of people can't afford an attorney. And the laws are set up where prosecutors have so much power in terms of how they set about prosecuting these crimes. They have so much discretion that it puts you at a severe disadvantage if you can't afford a high-powered attorney. So if you're a young black man and you're hit with some type of charge, they're telling you if you take this deal, we'll give you 10 years, but if you don't, we'll prosecute you to the fullest extent, which is 25, 30 years. Most people ain't gonna want to take that gamble. And
Yeah,
that's what you see
exactly.
happening now. Most people are like, fuck it, I'm gonna take the 10 years, because at least I have a chance to get out and then start a family or something once I'm done.
There was even a movie called Criminal Justice. I was just about plea deals. I think Rosie Perez might be in it, but it's just about very underknown movie. But yeah, it's just about that with somebody you never find out if he actually did the crime or not. But he just the plea deal was just too good to pass up. Something else to add to show an example of how this doesn't mean anything to these people. Ava DuVernay said something that got her dragged. I don't know where it is. I can't find it handily, right?
Okay.
But a lot of y'all
This was like
probably
a month or
remember.
so ago, right?
Was that?
This was like a month or so ago.
I think so. I think it was like a couple
And she
months
said,
ago.
I don't want to hear nothing about the crime bill. I don't want to hear nothing about this,
Come on.
that, and the other. I
Yeah,
don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, this is the person people are saying this. You're the one who did 13. You're the one who said when they see us. And that kind of shows that to me, she was doing those not because she really cared about the general principle, but I think she was trying to do her part as a resistance liberal. She was like, because she mentions Trump in the ad in when they see us, but she doesn't mention Koch, the Democratic president. I mean, the Democratic mayor, and how he was all on it, and he actually had power, like. So a lot of people kind of reveal themselves that a lot of times when they pretend to care about poor black men, it's because of something more cynical. A lot of times, like it coincides with caping for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, before I forget this, just going back to the unexpected election results and all that type of thing. One factor that I don't really see a lot of people talking about when you look at these close states that it looks like Trump is getting ready to lose, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin. The Libertarian candidate siphoned off like between 1 and 1.2% of the vote in a lot of those states.
Yeah,
And
he
that's
was
going
like
to
the
be a
Joe.
talk. Yeah, Joe Jurgensen, I think her name was. Or
Yeah,
his name.
yeah, he was like the Jill Stein of
Remember
Sorry.
what was the guy back in the day that was running as a third party when I think it was Bush Sr. was going up against Bill Clinton? Ross Perot, right? Remember he was a major sport. People were pissed off because they felt like he took took votes away from Bush Sr.
Yeah. And same thing happened with Ralph Nader. Same thing happened with Ralph Nader and Gore.
Right, the same thing happened. But if you look at some of these states, like Nevada, for example, I think it's within like 8,000 to 10,000 votes, and I think she got like, if I remember off the top of my head, I got to look at it. I think she got like 30,000 votes in Nevada. Libertarians, they say libertarians are just conservatives that smoke weed. So a lot of them were potential because I do know a lot of people that let me not say a lot, but I do know a few people who were traditionally Republicans and they said they were going to vote for the third party Libertarian candidate this time around. So I guess they made a promise on that. They kept that promise because from what I'm hearing, it's been a historic turnout for Libertarian candidates, for the Libertarian candidate this presidential election. Like this is the most that a Libertarian has ever had.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's interesting. I wonder if a lot of them were mad at Trump. You know what, too? I bet you a lot of those people were probably mad at Trump, but probably thought, oh, he's going to edge it out, so this thing won't really hurt. And I bet you a lot of those people would probably be mad, like, damn.
Right.
I'd be a little bit pissed at themselves.
Now
Yeah.
he took Arizona straight up like that. She didn't affect him in Arizona too much at all, but in Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, and some of these other states too, because Georgia is still up, from what I understand. Georgia's still up for grabs, which is crazy. Pennsylvania's still up. So I think that's going to be a conversation that they have once this is all said and done as well. She siphoned off a nice little chunk of his votes.
Somebody in the chat voted for her. Oh, how you doing, Vita? I even see you shut up. How's it going?
Hi.
Hey, it's good, Vita.
What's going on? You don't seem to be lagging today. You seem good.
Oh, good. It's good news. Thank you. Good to know.
Yeah. Hold on. Check this out. To show the level of integrity that our blue check pundits have, I want to know how they're going to spin this, because I think this is the final nail in the coffin to them for me, as far as being able to present themselves as our representatives. But check this out. I hope this is big enough for people to see. Let's see. I'm going to try to enlarge it. Does wow, that thing is small. Can y'all read it?
Barely.
Yeah, we say that. Okay, so hold on. Catching up on the debate, part 2 now. This is Professor Crunk, and I hate just saying that, it's cringe. Brittany Cooper, June 28, 2019. Catching up on the debate, part 2 now. Many thoughts, but Biden wouldn't even agree that his lack of support for federal enforcement of busing was wrong decades ago. Even seeing that a potential casualty of it may have been no Kamala on stage. This man can't be president. This is back when she was trying to cape for either Warren or Harris, because at the time, I think their thought was, okay, Biden is old school. He's white. He's from that old Delaware, old school Democrat machine. He's not woke. He doesn't really have that Tumblr connection. We can't get jobs with him. So I think he was their worst case scenario. They wanted Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris. I think they could see the path easier with her. So she was saying that. Then we go to this. This is as recently as June 2020. She was like, the most tone deaf thing Biden could do right now is pick a former cop or former prosecutor for VP. Peep that, former prosecutor. That disqualifies Klobuchar for sure, and doesn't look great for Demings or Harris either. So she might have had a particular person in mind. Maybe she was hoping for Warren, because Warren, even more than Harris, because Harris is a black woman, but she still was kind of in that Hillary Clinton machine. She wasn't a great one either. I think they really wanted Elizabeth Warren, even though she wasn't black, a lot of these people, or a whole different black woman, right? But Harris isn't really that embedded in that social justice academic camp either. She's kind of I would say she's like a Karen of color, right? But anyway, Harris is who they got. So now she knows whose ass she's got to kiss, right? So this is like the whole bluffing thing. No matter what happened, whoever the Democrat was, they were going to support. So then the next thing is this. In August 2020, Biden-Harris 2020. So, okay, all this crap you were talking, you got none of it. And you still ended up caping for the final ticket anyway. You had yeah. So you have no integrity. You have no integrity at all. You don't believe in anything except your own self-aggrandizement. You try to like spin things and get things to go your way, best case scenario, and you got the worst case scenario Democratic ticket, and you cape just as hard.
In line.
Yeah, and she caped for them as hard as if she was for them all along. Like you would have no idea just 2 months ago she wasn't even feeling these people.
Right.
But you know what's interesting is as business oriented and branding oriented as she seems to be, you would think her lack of consistency would be what hurts her brand. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, her fan base doesn't care. She knows what kind of fan base she has. She has a bunch of Karens and a bunch of other climbers. That's blue checks and what I call wanted checks. People who hope to get a blue check someday. So they act like they already have one. Like, you know, that's what she cares about. She doesn't care about people like us. You know, like a lot of people quote tweeted her with that, and she never responded. She doesn't care.
Oh, well. It just still seems like it's just bad branding if your thing is clearly branding. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Stick with what you claim you are, you know?
But
no doubt.
Her real brand, that's her decoy brand. Her real brand is I'm for sale. And that's right up with her brand. Like, that's her decoy brand. Her decoy brand is believing in stuff. Her real brand is Black feminist for sale. to the highest Democrat build um to the highest Democrat bidder. So that actually enhances a brand. Like, they see her and go, okay, yeah, we can buy her. Yeah, so that's how I think.
And also, one thing she does stay consistent about is, blaming brothers for shit. She stays on that. She ain't gonna never get off of that train.
That's true. She's gonna say something about that. Black man was so fun. Oh man, but maybe not even that, because I'm gonna show y'all something else, man. Actually, let me get this up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, shit. Let me see what you got. You said maybe not even that.
Yeah, this is funny, man, because this is what happened, right? With a lot of these people, what they weren't planning on, but what ended up happening was they weren't planning for Black women to step up for Trump like that, even though it kind of made sense that they would. Not because one reason it made sense is anecdotally, if you look at online, there's been so many more women with red caps or women doing viral videos or caping for Trump. But not just that, Black women were so low the first time that they had no place to really go but up. It would be even hard to even keep it that low. So they should have mentally prepared that. It's kind of like when you only have 4 people doing something, then if 4 more people do it, you've just doubled, even though it wasn't technically that many people. Like, the lower your number doing something. So to me, I was kind of thinking something's gonna kind of happen with Black women, whereas no place to go but up. And I wonder what it's going to be. So Black men and Black women both went up the same amount, but the problem is, even though they both went up 4%, it looks way worse for Black women because they were so low. For them, it's a doubling, right? So now what can they say? Because if your whole thing is to be there's 2 things that are kind of messed up. First, they can't just blame Black men anymore, because now they're opening themselves up to being critiqued. But then the second thing is, you're exposing yourself as not being a real Negro whisperer. What's the point? Your whole job is you're pretending that, hey, I can speak to the savages for you, white people, and I can read the tea leaves. I can tell you what's going on the ground that you can't tell with the savages. I can speak their language. I can read the drums. Like Tarzan, like the guy who's accompanying Tarzan, and Tarzan asked him, what are the drums saying? And he's like, oh, Sahib, they're saying this or whatever, but then on top of that, he can translate back and forth. Like, I'll get them to support you, I'll get the tribes to back you up, like they're going to be exposed as all that's fake. They can't do it. So what started happening is, when last night's results started going on, Jamel Hill goes, if Trump wins re-election, it's on white people, no one else, right? Whereas before, she was talking about Black men and Black women are built differently politically, and I think Black men just really want a piece of patriarchy. Like, she sort of the writing on the wall, like, really fast. So before, she was saying stuff like this: I have increasingly found that many Black men just want better access to patriarchy. They don't actually want to dismantle. Then the Black women vote went up with the Black men vote, and suddenly she's like, actually, let's focus on those damn white people. Don't look over here. Don't look at what the Black people are doing, So she was saying stuff like this. Is it just me, or is there a really different political energy between Black women and Black men? That is gone now. I'm surprised she didn't even delete it, but this guy, Michael Harriot, he was saying all types of greasy stuff about Black men, and now he was saying, by all accounts, Black turnout is high and overwhelmingly Democratic. Now suddenly, being majority Democratic is what matters, and not the little percentages. Remember before, when everyone kept telling these people Black men still voted 88% Democrat, why do you care? And it's like, no, that extra couple percentage points means everything. They might as well be MAGA. Now suddenly, he's like, by all accounts, Black turnout is already high and it's overwhelmingly Democratic. There's no indications of widespread Russian interference. There was no October surprise or last-minute FBI investigation. So there's only one answer: white people. The answer is white people. Like, don't pay attention. Don't look behind the curtain.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like,
all's well that ends well now. You know what I'm saying? It looks like their guy's gonna win. So, everything is good. No, there's no Russian bots or anything like that.
Oh no, this is when it looked like Trump was going to win. That they were saying this. This is from last night.
Got you. Okay.
This is when the early returns started coming in, and he started seeing that black women looked like they were going to have a significant jump. For the relatively small number, it's still a small number at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course.
Like personally, I don't think it's a big deal, but I don't think the jump in the black men was really a big deal in the big picture of things either. But right, by these people's standards, they've created a standard where such things are a big deal. So they're kind of hoisted by their own petard here. And this guy was having Professor Crunk on his podcast to badmouth black men and how, they're the new swing vote and everything. Like just 2 weeks before the election, last night when the returns came in, he's retweeting this. We need to talk a lot less about red and blue. We need to talk a lot more about whiteness. Like, nigga, you weren't talking about whiteness yourself. You were doing podcasts about black men. So why are you acting like we can't just pull up?
Wait. Mm-hmm. I just heard you say something. Black men are the new swing. I heard somebody talking about that earlier today. Is that like a new thing now?
Oh yeah, that was something they were saying for a while. They had articles and all this stuff calling black men the new swing vote of the black. Like now we're not the white people of black people. We're the swing vote of black people. That was several people saying that, including that guy that I just
Are they saying it like derisively, or like are they saying it like derisively? We need to really.
No, they were saying it like derisively. One guy I saw say it in a positive way, like you got to pay attention to black men because they can go either way. But the other place is saying it were like Blavity, and that guy, they were saying it like, like they're traitors. Like
black men don't really want to get rid of racism. They just
yeah. Sorry, I played this by accident. What were you saying, Vito?
Oh, that was it. I was just saying the idea that, what was I saying?
That they don't want to get rid of racism. That they
that they don't really want to get rid of racism, and that's like this new thing that I think is a talking point for like the black feminist spaces, because they have to be able to push this belief that black men are our enemy and are enemies of our goals.
Yes. But and also, like, what are the goals? That's what I want to know. What do you guys think the goals are? Because to me, I don't see even what the goals are, except for them getting jobs with white people and black people not getting those jobs.
Exactly. They want to be closer to white people.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that shit I posted? It was actually a black man who said that white people who basically, like, I guess, denounce their relatives because they vote for Trump are allies.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've seen a few. Yeah, I saw a few like that.
No, it was one particular guy who told me that.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't see that one. He was specifically talking to you on your timeline.
Well, we were commenting on Joy Reid's statement.
Okay.
About the girl who left Lil Wayne should be invited to the cookout.
Oh yeah, Joy Reid said that. It was really silly. Yeah, right. But a lot of black people were dogpiling, including the one you're talking about.
Where what?
Oh no, we're dogpiling what Joy Reid said, like saying, "Yeah, that's true." No, the guy you were talking about was agreeing with Joy Reid and was saying how that's going to cure racism if
that's how. That's how we're going to get our equal rights. And I really hate that perspective that black people have, and they push that idea that we need white people. Like, I just hate that idea. You know what I mean? I just don't know why we have to keep pushing it. Like, we're afraid to actually do something for ourselves. Oh no, the white people won't like us if we do it that way.
Yep. This I don't even need the audio for, because the audio is just repeating what. Actually, maybe I should play it. I don't know, but Jason Johnson.
I don't know what this is.
Okay, Jason Johnson tweeted this. He said, even if every single black person and every single Latino person had come and supported Joe Biden, it wouldn't have been enough to overcome the white people who are okay with Trump in Florida. Okay, so then why did you guys care about Ice Cube so much and black men so much if really the black vote doesn't matter and white people what really make everything? You guys weren't talking about white people for weeks, and it's because you were very sure that black women were going to stay low, that Kamala Harris was going to be enough to buy them off, and then you can just bash black men and blame them when you're done. And now that blaming black men thing is not going to work, even if Biden wins, which it looks likely, it's going to be hard if they take a look at the actual voting to kind of say that black women really came out, because they've encouraged this idea that the white Democrats are entitled to the vote. Like if they were using talking points like what we were saying all the time, which is at the end of the day, we're the two highest groups, even if we waver, so we're still your best bet. But no, these people themselves kind of made it seem like you've got to vote in the single digits, and every little bit of percentage points that you don't go Democratic is enough to register you a traitor. They can't turn around and use, I mean, they'll still try, but they've kind of put themselves in a position where the best thing they can say is don't even look at the black vote at all. But here's the actual clip.
We've got to move away and start disaggregating this word Latino, because what we saw in Arizona.
And this is a guy who had no smoke for Latinos at any time during. So now you want to talk about them, even though all the polls were showing that this was going to happen with Latinos. A lot of us were tweeting that. We were saying, why are you messing with us so much when all these things are tracking for Latinos? But no, it was all about black men.
Versus what we saw in Texas versus what we saw in Florida are very different things. Just because people may be native Spanish speakers or second language Spanish speakers in their home doesn't mean their political identities are the same. A lot of Hispanics are white, and they identify as white, and they vote like white Americans. I mean, quote unquote Latino voters are the second largest group in favor of Donald Trump behind white people. So that explains a lot of things. I mean, I've always thought all along, look, if you're convinced that Joe Biden is.
So if this is so important, why are we not talking about this at all? Yeah. These people, all they can do is offer hindsight. They should have fired all these people after 2016. The pollsters, the pollsters and the pundits, they have already shown that these people are useless. Instead, they all got promotions. He got promoted. Everyone got promoted so they could fuck up on a bigger stage, So I think COVID deserves most of the credit, I think, for Donald Trump's fall, or something else.
I'm starting to think, I don't know, man. I can't explain it, man. I really, the Arizona thing really got me thrown for a loop, bro. I wasn't expecting that. Like, I'm still trying
Arizona thing surprised me too. Yeah.
In Georgia right now, Georgia, he's right there. He could pull ahead in Georgia by the end of the night.
Yep. And
right now,
I wouldn't underestimate the fact that a lot of people do hate Trump.
Yeah, I wouldn't underestimate that either.
Especially, because he's done a lot of things that I don't think we talk about very often, which is the deals and stuff he makes and laws he gets changed and amendments he makes happen in favor of real estate people and developers.
Yeah. And those kids in cages too. A lot of people still talk about that. That's really jacked up with those kids in cages. And, a lot of people have been talking about that. They have I saw some recent stories where they had a whole bunch of kids who were deported to Mexico, and they weren't even Mexican, but they're deported without their parents. They actually can't find people's parents. So yeah, I mean, that stuff can affect people too.
Then it's the constant
parents. That's the crazy part. They separated them from their parents.
Yep, and now they can't find them. They separated them and they can't find them.
Man, that's horrible.
And then they deport them to Mexico where they're not even from. Yeah, so they're in a Mexican orphanage and child services thing.
That's the thing. Shit like that is just inhumane.
Oh, very much so.
You know what I mean? Even if it has, regardless of what my perspective is on politically on anything, really, having kids in cages separated from their families, that's fucking traumatizing. And it's unnecessary and it's sick. That's a really sick and perverted way to address any type of immigration issue.
Yeah, and straight up losing.
What I understand, they did that on purpose too, right? Like that was that was a plan. Like, we're gonna separate these kids from. Wasn't that like a planned op? Like, that's how they wanted to do it from each other?
I
I
wouldn't
think so. Yeah, but I thought they were gonna do that, but I didn't know they were actually gonna literally lose the name of the parents on top of that. That's like a whole step that I did not
Crazy.
expect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that too. And then it's just a constant stream of bullshit every day.
Yep.
Right. The man never. He just has no chill. Right. He
Yeah.
every little silly thing that comes to his mind, he has to say it or tweet it.
And no accountability. Yeah.
And then
And no accountability. Never wrong about anything.
right. Never wrong about anything, and then just always brings the bad company around. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got relatives that they hang around a gang of unruly people that you don't like being around, and they always bring them around, and you like, I ain't fucking with my cousins because they kicking with the folks over there. It's like they don't want to be associated with a certain segment of the white population, and he brings those people around all the time. You know what I'm saying? And so they're embarrassed by that shit.
So, T, you're an immigration lawyer.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you kind of explain, because I don't know, and I saw somebody else ask, because somebody said, didn't Obama do the same thing? Was there a difference? Well,
one thing that happens, Obama, they called him the deporter in chief and stuff like that, but at that time I wasn't doing that much immigration law. I did it before and a little bit after, but at that time I wasn't doing it that heavy. But it's way worse under Trump, as far as, for example, asylums are being approved at like Obama did a lot of deporting, but he wasn't doing what Trump's USCIS is doing, which is really crazy. Like, they're doing stuff where they're I mean, people have never seen. I'm trying to think of a specific example. Like one example is, for example, you used to be able to work while you were waiting for your asylum. And he did a bunch of stuff to make it harder for asylum applicants to get their employment card. So basically, people were having a hard time being able to support themselves while they're waiting for their asylum claim, and it'll be in the hopes that, I guess, they would just go back home. You know what I mean? And just throw in the towel. He was giving people rules to follow. Like, this is the right thing to do. When you're at Mexico, claim asylum, at this checkpoint or whatever. And, then you'll be okay. And then after people did that, his Homeland Department, USCIS, announced that, yeah, everyone who's done this, yeah, you guys are gonna get deported. Like they were sort of giving people rules to follow and then revoking it. And basically every time somebody went up for asylum that I would have, it would basically be, there's two steps. There's something called affirmative asylum and defensive asylum. And the affirmative one is the more laid back one, where you just meet with an officer and you just make a good case and whatever. And then the defensive one is, if you don't pass the first one, you get a second shot, the second bite of the apple. But you do that in front of the immigration judge. But that one is harder because that one it's like an actual court case, and you have to go up against the court lawyer, which is the immigration department's lawyer. And there's a cross-examination, there's a judge and everything. Now, before, a certain amount of people would, if you had a good enough case, you would pass the first wave and that'll be fine. And the second wave was if you didn't do good enough in the first wave. They've started basically denying the first one as kind of ritually, like, no questions asked. Basically, no matter how good a case you made, you were going to go to the court for the second one. Yeah, so it was almost like a formality, that first one. So you had to kind of tell clients, like, you don't want to tell people, hey, this property isn't going to work. To be honest, this guy is nuts and he's gonna his immigration department is going to shoot down everything. This is basically formality. You want to give people like, the hope to do their best, and maybe this will be a fluke, but and not just myself, but everyone that I was talking to, who was an immigration lawyer was saying the same thing. They were saying all my people are getting ritually turned away the first time, and everyone's getting sent to do the defensive. But what that was causing was a backlog in the courts, because now everybody is basically being sent straight to the court, and that first appointment is almost nothing. So then started shifting a bunch of people from different parts of immigration into the courts and the asylum system and everything to handle all these. Like, he does a lot of things that are kind of counterproductive and inefficient, and mess up the bureaucracy. Like, the backlog was getting really crazy because now there were a lot of people who used to do other things at immigration who were shifted to handle the asylum. So there's like backlog and yeah. So to some degree, he must really believe in what he's doing, because there's not really a lot of logical or efficiency stuff going on the way he does things. And Obama, a big difference with Obama is I think he wanted the trains to run on time. He wanted everything to be smooth. Even though he was doing a lot of this deporting stuff, he wasn't doing all these ridiculous games, and he wasn't into deporting to the point where he was willing to kind of junk up the whole system and everything. Like,
well, they were also getting people who weren't undocumented.
Yeah, they were doing that. The stuff they were doing with ICE was really crazy.
Yeah.
Someone said cruelty was the feature and not the bug. Yeah, so the cages stuff was happening, the deportation stuff was happening, the obsession with turning away asylum wasn't happening under Obama. But the other thing that wasn't happening was how cruel they were doing it, and how they were willing to even make their own lives harder just to make sure people were getting deported. Like, they were really willing to just kind of screw up their own departments to just to make sure.
He's just a tornado.
What's that?
What you described is just so Trump. Like that. Yeah. He's just a tornado. Like everything, nothing's gonna ever be in any kind of order, or everything is gonna be in disarray somehow, some way. Like, he just.
What were you saying, Vita? Are you saying something?
Yeah,
well, I was gonna ask, like, is there any movement in Trump's administration to go after the companies and businesses that hire undocumented people? So, for example, you guys probably, I forgot what documentary it was, but they were talking about Tyson Chicken and how they stopped hiring the Black people in the area, and they literally went to Mexico and was getting people and bringing them over to have them work in their slaughterhouses. And then they had them staying there. They had like bunkers or whatever. They were not bunkers, like trailers or whatever that they were staying in. And they told ICE that they could come and raid them, but not during production hours, because they were just going to go back to Mexico and get more people.
As far as I know, he wasn't going. Obama did do family separations. Like I want to make clear, he did do a lot of this stuff, but Trump just did it to.
Just so the, but I'm not. But did he? But was there any work?
Oh no! I'm gonna answer you too. I'm just. Okay. I was just answering Yakub in the chat. As far as I know, he didn't do anything with the corporations, but that's like par for the course. I mean, something else that doesn't really, which is a lot of people don't know this, but something else that happens a lot is people. The actual people doing the messed up stuff. Sorry, let me say that. A lot of people doing the fraud as citizens, like marrying people and helping people get illegal immigration. They don't really get grief either. Like pretty much the corporations don't really get that much grief, but every now and then people get made examples of sometimes if the fraud is egregious enough. So I'm sure it happens sometimes. I don't track it. Like I'm sure there are some every now and then, like somebody who marries someone to get them illegal benefits gets prosecuted, and every now and then somebody who a corporation that is engaging in widespread fraud, gets it. But for the most part, a lot of times, people get kind of a pass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As far as I know, I don't know if Trump was escalating the prosecution of those type of people, but I didn't hear anything about that myself. If anybody in the chat knows anything about that, let me know, because I don't really deal on that level of defending the actual corporations.
Well, I was just asking in general if you knew or anybody knew, because I would just find it interesting. One of the things that they always say is that they're taking Americans' jobs as the reason why they're so anti-immigration. But I don't understand. If that's the case, then why aren't they going after the companies that are hiring people that are undocumented and not hiring local citizens? So that doesn't make sense to me.
So some people had some answers. Champagne Communista said family separations were rare under Obama. It was only when they actually needed to verify custody of the kids and the guardians, but they were quickly reunited. Yeah, like the cruelty level of what Trump is doing, as far as like losing the parents and the family separations and sending the parents back without the kids. Like some of that stuff was really crazy. iSound Info said this: food processing plants get busted routinely, and magically the corporations don't get punished, only the workers. Yeah, it's usually the actual immigrants, both in the family and the business side, that get the enablers, and the hirers and stuff usually don't get penalized that often, except for every now and then sometimes somebody gets made an example. Yeah, so Trump literally separated like everyone. Like
that's
I was gonna
similar
say,
to how
I'm sorry.
you were gonna say. No, I was gonna say that's similar to how when prostitutes and Johns used to get caught, the Johns used to kind of get off scot-free.
Yeah,
and
that's a great example.
Like, that sounds like what this is,
That's a great example.
I was gonna go back to iSound Info statement, and it's funny because that's the reason why the workers, like in the Tyson, and this I can't remember the documentary, but because it wasn't about Tyson's chicken, it was about something else. But in the documentary, what the reason why people were getting taken or getting deported and having to face penalties was because the company was telling ICE go ahead and do it, because all they were going to do was get more people anyway. So it's all like showboating, essentially, to look like they're doing something.
Yep. Yeah. So it's just a bunch of show. What else? Hold on real quick. This one. There was a family separation sometime in September or October in California. About 300 kids were released from a detention center because of COVID. Yeah, so it's like the egregious cruelty of it. Like Obama was doing a lot of this stuff, but there's like an egregious cruelty to the way that Trump did it. But I mean, part of the problem too is Obama really did do a lot of deportations, a lot of family separations, but he did try to at least have a certain amount of order to it, whereas Trump just he's willing to mess up the whole bureaucracy just to get this done. Like when I had some clients that I took to the court, like the dates for them to come back for their second asylum hearing would be like a year plus away. That's how backed up they were. So they got to spend an extra year in America just waiting. You know what I mean? But then some of them they were lucky, they got their employment cards right away, but some of them were getting hard times getting employment cards. So you have to wait like all this time to get heard, and then you're very likely going to get denied because they're denying everybody. But then on top of that, you can't find work. Like, and for some reason, I think he was really against, again, specifically like the so-called shithole countries, and he really wanted certain ones, like particularly the Muslims and the Mexicans, and so he was targeting avenues that they particularly use. But in this day and age, it's not like the back in the days when you can have Chinese exclusion acts or anything. Equal protection kind of and constitutional laws evolved so that you have to kind of treat every race the same. So what people do when they want to target a race, they try to target their preferred their preferred mode of immigration. So that way you don't have to say I'm trying to exclude this group. So for example, Trump has a problem, it seems to be Indian people too. So he tries to go after H-1B. That's a very popular thing that they use. But on the flip side, Kamala Harris, for black people, all she's been doing is doing the Dougie and dabbing and talking about cookouts and stuff and saying, I'm not going to do anything specific for black people. But quietly, she's been working with Indian lobbies. And if you ever Google Kamala Harris and H-1Bs, you'll notice that Kamala Harris does a lot of stuff with H-1B visas, and it works both ways. People choose certain types of immigration when they want to punish a particular race of people. Like, this is the immigration that they tend to do. But if you want to benefit them, you can say, hey, this type of immigration, let's let it, skyrocket through the roof. So she's been doing a lot of stuff. So there's a huge H-1B lobby in Indian people who people love Kamala Harris for her stuff with the H-1B visas. I'll show you something, and the news doesn't talk about this a lot. You have to kind of look at it. So for all her talk about I'm not doing anything specific for black people, US
They'll find a way.
U.S. Vice Presidential candidate Kamala Harris on H-1B visas. While running for president, she promised to lift the per-country cap on employment-based green cards if elected. And you notice it doesn't say, I'm going to do it for India. You can't say that. So it says so it makes it seem like a neutral thing. Like she just cares about these visas. But if you look at the amount of people that use H-1B visas, it's very, very overwhelmingly India. Yeah. So it's low key something she's doing for Indian people.
That's interesting because she definitely said she wasn't going to do shit for black people. So
yeah, and with that, you don't have to say you're doing it for
anybody because you know who it's going to get.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll give you an example. This is in an Indian newspaper, right? In this Indian newspaper, if you read a lot of Indian news, you'll notice that they cover H-1B developments in America a lot. Like it's an open secret that it's an kind of an Indian issue. So if you look, of course it starts putting up stuff. So this is called the India Times, the Economic Times of India, right? This is the English edition. It says the Indian connection with the U.S. elections. And it says the Kamala Harris elections. And they talk about, I'm going to find the H1B.
Man, I'm glad Vita took it in this direction. We getting into some good stuff here.
Yeah, so no more lotteries for H-1B. So if you notice, the Indian people look at the U.S. election and look what's happening with the H-1B, And Donald Trump was planning to scrap the lottery for awarding H-1B professional visas and replacing it with a system that ranks applicants by the salaries they are offered. Indians are the biggest beneficiaries of the H-1B visas, getting about 75% of them, 3/4. According to the U.S. government. And Donald Trump would also tighten the classification of the experience, skills, and education needed for the job. There have been cases of applicants with highly sought after skills and very high wages to match them being rejected because of the random nature of the lottery system. So when Kamala Harris is championing H-1B visas, and if the news says that very casually, you just look and be like, okay, I guess she's just for immigration. But that's a play to the Indian people. She's telling them, look, I'm offering you tangibles. 75% of you, a lot of your family members come through this. A lot of y'all are want this, and yeah, so the Indian lobby is very big into the H-1B visas. That's what's like. If
What's
you
the
read between
other 25%, by the way?
what's that?
What was the other 25%?
Oh, the other 25%. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's probably a lot of East Asians in there for sure.
I was thinking that, and I was about to say it sounds like that was a whistle not just for even Indians, but just Asians in general.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. That's a good question. I don't want to look it up in real time because it's gonna take a while. It's gonna slow down the show, but I'm gonna look it up and see. But yeah. So there's a lot of white people who don't like the H-1B visas, like who are working in like white collar fields and stuff. So I think that's one of Trump's ways to appeal to them is to mess with it. But also, India is one of those so-called to Trump a shithole country. What were you gonna ask? I think you're gonna say something. Oh, take it easy. I sound on info. Yeah, what were you saying?
Oh, I think I was gonna ask. Oh, because I was thinking about who would be affected by that, and it sounds like it would be mostly Asians, and I wonder if that was a play because one of the things I know is that wealthy Asians and wealthy Southeast Asians love Trump, at least in California. So, and the reason for that is because they're the anti-tax groups, right? So they hate tax. I mean, and in places like California, our taxes are already high. I'm pretty sure New York's is pretty high as well. Because the taxes are so high, but yet they want to do business here, they feel like, well, if we can get the federal taxes to, give us more loopholes or to make it so we don't lose as much money, then we should be voting for Trump.
It didn't take as long as I thought to find this. So I do have an answer to your question. I thought it might take longer, but here we go. H-1B visa holders in USA, an overview. And there are close to 3 million H-1B holders. More than 65,000 of those are Indian. Hold on. That seems low. Anyway, but here, top countries where U.S. H-1B visa holders come from. Top one is India. First of all, the very top list of H-1B visa holders in the U.S., Indians are present in the highest number. In 2017, the total number of beneficiaries was 276,423. Let's just jump forward. China, Canada is next on the list. So India and China are the top two. It says the numbers start to diminish in comparison with the first two countries. So basically, after India and China, there seems to be a big drop. So 60,000 with India, but 3,000 for Canada. So 60,000, then 21,000, right? So you get 60,000 that's Indian, then 21,000 that's Chinese, and then third is a distant 3,000. So that kind of goes with the idea that Indians must be getting about 75% of them. Yeah, and then everything else is like 1,442. Yeah, so basically 67,000
So
Indian.
Asia and Canada is what it sounds like.
Yeah, it seems like Chinese and Indian. If you combine the two of them, then that seems like it must be about 90% if you throw in China, because everything else after that is like in the low thousands. So
yeah,
a lot of the ways they target race now in immigration is by figuring out which types of immigration things are used by which country, and then you target those, and that way you don't have to do a new Chinese exclusion act. Like the Muslim ban was something that Trump tried and it went bad because he was trying to attack by group, and that's hard to get by the courts. Yeah. Hey, Yakub, good night. Yeah, wow, a lot of people are tuckering out. I see that everybody's going.
It's not even that late, guys. Stay up.
People probably drained from last night. I think a lot of people had a late night. Like I took a 2-hour nap, but I was fading too. Yeah.
I've been great. I went to sleep great, woke up
People
great.
emotionally drained, man.
Yeah, people are drained.
I'm so not emotionally invested into this election. Not even a
Man,
little.
don't it feel good?
It feels
Yeah.
great because the only things that the things that I was concerned about, I already got results for. So, like my Congress people, that was a big deal for me. Because regardless of what you feel about Maxine Waters, and I got my issues with her, she would be definitely better than Joe Collins. So there's that. And
Who's
then
the other guy, Gaston, that was running against her too?
No, he was going against Jackie Lacey for Attorney General. I think it was
Jackie Lacey. My bad. Okay, yeah, you're right.
What is it called? The city attorney, whatever.
Attorney General. Yeah, I mean the city attorney. Yeah.
Yeah. So the city attorney's
did he end up beating? Did she end up keeping her seat?
I don't know. I actually didn't check on that one because honestly, I didn't have a lot of faith in either of them. Like I didn't. Yeah. I thought it was lose, but I voted her out because I was just done with her.
Yeah, sure.
It says that based on 9 hours ago, Gascon was leading Lacey. So Jackie Lacey, everybody hates her because all she does is lock niggas up, essentially. It can't wait to do it.
She's the Kamala Harris of Los Angeles. Like,
oh my God, like 100%.
Kamaria asked you a question, Vita.
Except she has a black husband. No, I'll give her that.
Right. The
Did
black
you see
husband,
that?
Wait. And a black husband that ain't afraid to pull out his gun if he got to.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
The Black Lives Matter protesters went up to her house at 4 a.m, and he walked out there. He had a pistol pointed at him. They try to, I'm going to get into all that, but yeah. Yeah. Let me see. Vita, how do you feel about the California props that passed and didn't pass? So let me actually pull up the ones that passed so I can remember all this shit. The big one most people know about is 22. That's the one everybody in the country was looking at because it can definitely set a precedent for other states. That one passed, and that was to essentially repeal AB 5 for specifically these gig companies. So Uber, Lyft, Postmates, DoorDash, so forth and so on. And they spent a lot of money making it look like it was about they spent a lot of time making it look like it was about giving the workers keeping drivers independent and giving them healthcare benefits. And so they said, it's like, oh, drivers deserve healthcare benefits and drivers deserve this. But their healthcare plan that they're offering is kind of weak. Now, for me personally, I hate AB5. It fucked me up because I'm an independent contractor. At least I was. Right. I was until AB5 came out. And in January, they switched me over to payroll at one of my jobs. And that was a problem for me because now I can't write shit off that I need. I don't qualify for small business programs because I'm no longer an independent contractor. I can't put myself as a small business anymore. So I hated AB5. So me personally, I was thinking I'm gonna vote yes because when I was Uber driver, Postmater, all Lyft, all the shits, right?
I did that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I did it full time at one point,
sure.
Right?
Yeah, but you can get off when you want to.
Right. I liked being an independent contractor. Plus, I was getting my health care because I was on Medi-Cal. So I figured out that all they do is kick you off. They don't make you pay back anything. So I said, I get caught, butt me off, fuck it, but yeah, so I understood like what, if you're working 40 hours a week and you want to be able to get benefits and things. However, when you sign up for a gig job, you know what you're signing up for. They're not really meant to be full-time jobs. People are saying, well, the people are working 80 hours a week, but that's your choice.
They tell you that off the dribble.
Off top.
They sell it to you as...
Exactly. Yeah, but exactly. You can work as many hours as you want. However, now that if you're an employee, you are capped at 8 hours. So now more than likely, if you're going to continue to drive, they're going to cut you off at 8 hours. but we don't. So that's those kind of things I considered when I was thinking about voting yes. The reason why I did not vote yes, and what ultimately swayed me, were two things. I felt like it was a problem to have a bill that's difficult to amend. So I think you had to have 7/8 vote to get it amended, as opposed to the normal 2/3. Getting 7/8 vote out of anything in the fucking state is going to be impossible.
Right.
So there was that. Then the other thing was it only applied to the gig jobs. It did not apply to the other independent contractors who are now having to go to payroll. So this was specifically they weren't fighting for independent contracting. They were specifically fighting for their companies. So that's what ultimately swayed me to vote no. And I felt like if they wanted to, they can come back, and put something else out there. You know what I mean? Try another proposition. Try something, try something different. Go back and rewrite this shit. Unfortunately, it passed. I feel like it shouldn't have passed, but I do understand why it passed. The way that they talked about it, the way that they sold it, and the amount of money they spent to make sure that it was that the spin on it was the way it was the only reason why that shit won. The other bill was that dialysis bill. In fact, let me pull up all the things. I'm going to do that.
And we got to remember that too, Vita. That's a key point, because a lot of money goes into making the terminology and the way they phrase things on these ballots as confusing as humanly possible.
Right. You think you're voting for something progressive and you're voting for something more regressive, and you don't realize it. Absolutely.
Right. It was one of them that was hella tricky. Which one was that?
I think it was the one they were trying to repeal affirmative action.
I think it was one of it. I think it might have been. It was either that or it was the one that you just talked. It was one of those two.
Yeah,
like
well,
they
22
really
was
wrote.
definitely confusing. That one was confusing as hell. The property tax ones were pretty confusing. They were all written pretty confusing, so you didn't really know what you were voting for a lot of these if you didn't research it.
So they said the rent control didn't pass either. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Also, Prop 21 didn't pass, which surprised me a little bit. So my theory, this is just my theory on why that didn't pass, is because most voters are homeowners and landlords and own property. So if you're a homeowner and you're thinking maybe one day you're going to rent out your garage, you have to question, wait a minute, do I want this rent control bill, there? But there's already there already is a rent. I thought there already is a rent control for the state. So I guess this was more for like, can local cities change it?
Right.
So the other one,
I think local cities have a little bit of flexibility in how they implement the rent control, right?
I think
it's kind of like a mixed bag in certain places.
I think so, because I know that before there were cities that definitely didn't have rent control, like Inglewood. So what happened in Inglewood is rents were doubling for people. Like literally, they go from 1 month they're paying $1,100, the following month they're paying $2,200, and they might have been living for 10 years, right?
Yeah. Inglewood was unconscionable what they were doing out there with the rent.
Right. It got so bad, like the mayor had to basically put an ordinance out saying that they had to stop the raising of the rent, because it was so insane. People were getting kicked out and evicted left and right. So y'all got this thing blocking me, and it's weird as I'm talking.
What's blocking? Oh,
what do you mean?
Yeah, no, just like, it's just weird because you have the little, and it's like blocking my face, and I'm
oh, my bad.
But so the Inglewood, so the reason why Inglewood's rent started getting going up because they're gentrifying it like a motherfucker, like they're pushing niggas out. You might as well see bulldozers, how heavy and how quickly they're gentrifying Inglewood. They're building the new football stadium there for the Rams. So that's being built. And a whole bunch of other shit. Like it's a lot going on over there. So that's why to me, I thought the rent control shit would, happen, only because I felt like rent was going up so high everywhere that people would want some sort of limit on that. But like I said, I guess it makes sense if you're a homeowner. The dialysis one surprised me too. So that was a tricky one, and kind of like that was Prop 23. So Prop 23 was going to require dialysis clinics, which are like private companies that exist in like a lot of local communities here in South Central. There's a gang of them because a lot of Black people have problems with their kidneys and shit. So we're all on dialysis. They have so much so they have clinics specifically for people to go there. The requirement, the prop passed, it was going to make it a requirement for a doctor, a nurse practitioner, or a physician's assistant to be present at every clinic. The clinics don't want to have to pay for these people to be there. So what they did was they put out a campaign saying that if this passes, clinics are going to close everywhere, and we need these clinics. People are going to lose their ability to get their kidneys taken, whatever, right? So that's how they sold it. So a lot of people voted against it, not realizing that these places are medical places and you should have a fucking doctor on fucking site. So, so that one did surprise me, but again, there was a lot of money poured into it by these big companies because they don't want to pay for shit. The diversity ban. So that was another one. That was the end diversity ban one was tricky, but it says repeals a constitutional provision that made it unlawful for California state and local governments to discriminate against or grant preferential treatment to people based on race, ethnicity, national origin, or sex. So what makes it so tricky is that the thing is what they want to do specifically is repeal Proposition 209, which makes it so particularly Black people can have jobs in the fucking government here. Like government jobs were not going to us, or contracts. So now they put programs in place to make sure that that's happening. You have to have diversity here. So that was one of the tricky ones, but I think it ended up not passing. So
California is just an elitist ass state. It sounds like we just
absolutely.
There was a time when California, even there in the 90s when Republicans were still running the state for the most part. Remember, California used to be a real consumer-friendly state back in the day. Like any of these measures where they wanted to raise a bunch of money and taxes, they give you their game about we're going to use it to fix roads and fund the schools and this. People used to vote no on that shit all the time, because they wouldn't show where the money was going. So people would be like, nah, we're not voting yes for that. Like it's so many things that. Like rent control, that would have passed in California back in the day. To me, in my opinion, I think what it is too is people underestimate the amount of people from the East Coast that have relocated to the state of California over the last 20 years. As people have been moving, as native Californians have been leaving the state over the last 20, 30 years, more and more people from the East Coast have been moving in, and they do all that shit over there. I'm sorry, love you T. I love you, bruh. But New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, like that, all that shit they do over there with raising rents and all that shit, they're bringing that over here to California, man, and they're bringing their political views with them as well. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just kind of like my two cents, because I couldn't understand it, like the gas tax situation. I don't know if you remember that. That was not that long ago, Vita. If you remember, like when they were voting to, I think they were going to vote to eliminate the gas tax or something like that, or cut it back or cut it down or something like that, reduce it.
I don't remember.
And people voted no. Like I'm like, how the fuck? How you vote no on that? Like y'all like having the highest gas tax in the country? The fuck?
Why did they vote? Why did they vote no?
I have no idea. We used to vote no. In Cali, we used to vote no on any of that kind of like implementing it in the first place. And then sometime within the last 10 years or so, they voted yes to do a hike on it. So about something went out trying to reduce it back down to where it was before. And people voted no to not reduce it. And I was just, I couldn't understand why people would vote no for something like that. But I don't know. I don't understand anything here anymore.
I mean, I also think that there's a lot of money being pumped into how they present a lot of these propositions. So you think you're voting for one thing and you're not, or you're voting because like they'll only tell you part of what the bill is. Like, yeah, this is a good thing because this, but they won't tell you the other half. So I think sometimes people don't do a lot of the research, so they're just going to go with what sounds like it's the good idea. I still think that's a big, huge chunk of it too. But I do think the fact that it's so much more expensive to live here, you're getting people who can afford to live here, and they're, trying to protect their financial, I guess, assets.
For sure. Yeah, they know what they're doing. Like, they know what they're doing. They want us out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want us out of here. That's how Pasadena is. My old stomping grounds. Like, the mayor, I think he ended up losing too. But the mayor out there, he's been on the record as saying, if you want to afford to live here, work hard and get a good job, and then you can afford to live here. He literally says that. And that sounds like Republican shit. That sounds like a Republican talking point,
Yep. That's the other thing. I think we forget that California is not as liberal as it likes to be itself. I mean, our incarceration rates are insane. LA County has like one of the largest prison systems in the fucking world on earth. Right?
Yep.
On top of the fact that we have often had Republican governors. So it's not like we're super liberal, not as much as they like to present themselves,
Right.
So I always feel like, you have to take California's liberalism with a grain of salt, because they will not hesitate to lock you niggas up. A lot of this county shit is happening in these liberal states like New York and LA, right?
Yep.
So we know for a fact that California is nowhere near the progressive state that it tries to pretend to be. And this is my issue with Democrats in general. I think that is the Democratic Party. I think they pass themselves off, and that's what they use us for, right? And so nice white people can feel like they're doing the right thing, and they're going to have confidence in, voting for a Democrat because, hey, I'm a good white person, and and us, we're like, oh, we have to be dependent on you because this other party is clearly fucking insane, right? But the thing is, I think they're taking advantage of us, and I think that's so I think the Democrats know what they're doing. They're making it look like they're progressive. They use us to do it, and we don't benefit.
Not at all. And then meanwhile, I'll step over this homeless person while I go in this coffee shop to have my latte.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's how downtown Los Angeles is right now.
Oh, yeah, not in the backyard. All those liberals will not let you feed homeless people in the park.
Nope.
Not near
they won't let you. And they won't let you open up any type of homeless shelters anywhere. So I'm like, what the hell do you want the people to do? Like, you complain about them being on the street. They try to open a residence somewhere for the people. Nope, we don't want them over here by our kids. It's like, goddamn. What the?
So we had to resort to like using college campuses and spaces that just so people could have a space to go pick up food, for example. That's why you don't have those everywhere. There are certain cities, they will not let you do shit like that because they don't want you to bring in homeless people. But they're so liberal. Nor will they change the laws to make sure that we increase housing for these people either.
Hell, we can't even. They don't even want to change the law so the people who got a little job can afford to live here. Like I think they said the average person in the state of California has to make $30 an hour in order to live a decent life out here, or a couple both have to make like $15 an hour or something like that. I mean, it's just not. Where's the progressiveness at? I guess they're progressive in some of the social issues, like when it comes to abortion and all that type of shit. But when it comes to quality of life and living here, there's nothing progressive about California at all.
Yeah.
Only reason why I'm still here is because California has a lot of support. I have 2 children that are autistic, and California has a lot of support for autistic children, and none of these other states. So
not just autism. Development, a lot of developmental challenge programs are like in places here, like LA, Southern California in particular. And that's really true. It's even hard, like if you live in the desert over here, if you live in the Inland Empire.
Oh man.
It's even harder to do stuff, But if you live in like where you're at and where I'm at, it's a lot of services. Like Even if you like, if you go to Missouri, for example, I'm going to use Missouri because I know their system does not have nearly as much to support special needs and developmental challenges like California does, like nowhere near close. And a lot of times they don't even get a lot of funding, or they're even if they're private companies, they're kind of raggedy and they're not run well. So you might not be getting a good mentor to work with your kid who has developmental challenges, or so yeah. So that's true. And we have the best weather. And they said the women are beautiful.
That's pretty much the only reason I'm here is the weather and the damn because of the services that they offer for children with developmental disabilities and things like that. And another thing I'm afraid of is, some of these other states, they prosecute kids that have autism and other
oh wow, really?
developmental disabilities. Oh man, yeah. I saw it was a case in, I don't know if it was Virginia or North Carolina,
yeah,
but there's a. You remember hearing about that? It was like a 12-year-old or something like that. That was.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Autistic, and I think he hit a teacher. He did something, and they straight up prosecuted him. Like, no, he's autism. He's fine. We got like, goddamn, he's a little black kid too. If memory serves me correctly, and they prosecuted him and everything.
Yeah, because he was a little white kid. He would have got. If he was a little white kid, he would have got all the services in the fucking world. Oh, what are we gonna do about
if they even have them out there? I don't know. I don't think they have.
But man, they got.
I don't even think they have.
Let a white kid have some shit. They got something for the white kids. Trust me.
Oh, you saying yeah. For the criminal act. Oh yeah, for sure.
The white kid, they would have found all kinds of services. They would have shipped them to California if they had to.
They'd have made up some shit. They would have said he had affluenza. You know what I'm saying? Remember that?
Exactly.
The affluenza stuff was crazy.
LA has the worst traffic. I don't care. Stop whining. Listen to your music. Listen to podcast. You got Champagne Sharks to listen to.
It's back streets. You gotta remember, in LA, the Southern California, it's back streets everywhere.
I wanted to.
That's the problem. That's what I hate Google Maps for. That shit fucked up a lot of my shortcuts.
It did. Waze did that shit.
Well, yeah, Waze was a mess, man. Yo, I wanted to answer two things I was saying to Mario real quick before I forget them, because I remember there were two things I wanted to talk about. One was Professor Crunk real quick, and one was about the Asians and how they voted. So this is like super fast. Professor Crunk was one of the ones who said that she came out today with an article for Time saying, if Donald Trump wins the second term, blame white people. So she switched her thing. She was going on and on for weeks about how black men, black women, and now that the vote didn't turn out how she liked, she's joining Jason Johnson and all the rest of them on that train. And the last thing I'm going to say about the Asian thing real quick, somebody tweeted this thing where they said, this Asian person said, what happened to the Southeast Asians are the woke Asians against those oppressive East Asians crowd. And he pulled up this information showing that Asian Indians actually voted Joe Biden the most. And I'm guessing that H-1B thing probably really helped, right? Yeah. But then, Japanese, who are kind of considered the least woke Asians, came second. But out of the East Asians, they were the highest. But these ones, the Vietnamese and the Filipinos, they were the ones.
Look, that is crazy.
Yeah, they were the ones that were strongest for Trump. So, yeah, there's a lot of interesting inroads made by Trump that I'm really curious what. And I don't trust this class of pundits. I don't trust these Jason Johnsons and really Wolf Blitzers and all these people to break it down, these Jake Tappers. I don't trust them at all. We have a true incompetent class of pundits. They can't predict anything, and they can't explain anything after it happens either.
Yo, I'm tripping off of this right now because Filipinos out here live in the hood with us. Like
Yep.
in Long Beach right now, kicking it with the black people and the Cambodians. So I'm just and they live. So I'm just like, what?
TRGs out there.
That is wild. And the Vietnamese even, like that's even surprising. Wow.
Yeah.
Especially over Japanese, which I know a lot of them, are much Japanese Americans that tend to be a lot wealthier.
Yeah, and they have a bad rap among Asians of being like, well, a lot of Asians like to paint them as the
white people of Asian people.
Yeah, the white people of Asians or the colonizers of Asians or having a conservative slant. So yeah, it's pretty interesting that
there's actually an interesting division in the Japanese community that my homegirl put me onto. She's Japanese American, and she was talking about when Japanese people were in internment camps, you had the group of people that were like their sons joined the military, and then the other ones who were like, nah, fuck y'all, right? Military are the ones that got more privileges, they got positions in government, or they're things like that. And then the other ones basically were like cast to the side. So it was really interesting. There's actually a bigger division that people actually know about. I never heard of it until my homegirl told me.
Somebody asked where they can find the data. I'll put it back on the screen. I'm sorry I took it off, but somebody wants to know where to find the data. It says it on it. So, but I know it might not show. So let me read it. It's the top of it says APIA vote. AAPI data, that's the second organization, and another organization. This is written really small, so I have to like get up on the screen to read it. It says Asian Americans Advancing Justice. So those are the three organizations that put this together, and the source says Asian American Voter Survey 2020, and it's posted in Reddit on r/Asian American. So between all those things, I think you should be able to find it. But try to search Asian American Voter Survey 2020 and throw in AAPI to see if that helps narrow down the results. And I think you should be able to find it. But actually, you know what? I should double check too, because the way people lie on the internet for no reason, you never know if someone might have just made that up,
Right.
People lie just for no reason at all.
It didn't have a source right there?
Yeah, it did have a source, but I didn't double check the source because people can lie. People lie all the time about sources. You see with black men, people will tell you this study says this, and then you click the study and you're like, wait, this study doesn't even say that. Like just because someone sends a link doesn't necessarily mean they're not lying.
That with every topic, though. I have had so many discussions with people, and I'd be like, "Did you read the study? Because it's not saying what you." It's in fact, this study's proving my point. I don't know if you realize.
Yeah, people are good for that. People will lie to your face, and I don't know if it's because they didn't read it themselves or they read it and misunderstood it. But I think a lot of people just straight up just hope you don't check.
They got it from somebody else. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of that.
They read the title and they read half of the abstract and they think that they read the study. Or sometimes also other thing they'll do, they give you a study that they clearly didn't read the details of because like the study makes no sense. And it'll be like random. They do that the most with marijuana studies. So there'll be like some study where things are actually inconclusive. But they make it out like weed is like the most dangerous shit on earth. So people do that a lot with those marijuana studies.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, so for people who are curious, I searched and I did find it. There's a PDF that is this. So 2020 Asian American Voter Survey. So if you do what I said, search 2020 Asian American Voter Survey, AAPI, you'll see it. These are the people behind it. I think one of these organizations is out in San Francisco because I think it's the Advancing Justice one because I've seen that when I went to San Francisco. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so the charts are all here, and the Senate races and stuff. So what's funny is the Senate race seems to kind of go like what you'd expect with the Filipinos on top, but so it seems to be specifically the presidential thing that switched it around. Yeah, where Donald Trump favorability was pretty strong. These are not exit polls. This is before the election. So I don't know if the exit polls are going to say something different. But a month, that's September actually, 2 months before the election, that's how things were polling for people who are interested in finding it. Yeah. Personally, I'm getting a little bit
I gotta
tired.
hop off. Yeah, I gotta eat.
Okay, so it's not just me. Okay, yeah, I'm a little bit tired, so I'm not talking too much. I'm like, because that 2 hour nap, I'm just thinking about going back to it, so I'm not good tonight. But thanks, guys, for joining me tonight. And yeah, actually, we did 2.5 hours. What am I talking about? I'm acting like we're cutting it short.
Right.
Well, I joined late. I apologize. I would have joined earlier, but
Right.
I need that time sometimes when I get off of work to handle some shit. So.
Oh no,
man, you ain't never lied. I feel you.
Yeah, I feel you. I remember me as skater, so I already took my time and took my nap and everything. I get it for sure.
Right.
All right, thanks everybody for joining us. And yeah, I mean, it's not too late to hit the super chat if you just want to show your love. It's always appreciated. And yeah, everybody have a good one. Nobody get too worked up over this thing, because
please,
there's yeah. Don't fight with your family. Don't kick people out. Don't divorce your loved ones. I mean, there's some crazy stories. Yeah. Keep things in perspective.
Don't be like that mom. Don't be like that mom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mom in that video. You know what? We gotta find that and we'll play it next time, because I want to see that video. We should talk about that next time. I want to find
that. Boy, Vita, did you see that video with the mother that was cussing her son out for voting independent in the election? Oh, look at that!
Yeah, and she put it. Yeah, she got mad. She didn't even see it. She got mad.
Look.
Let's look for it and send it to her. We'll talk about it next time. Yeah, for sure. Because I want to talk about that next time. Let's put that on.
I don't rock with shit like that.
All right.
Okay.
Be good, everybody.
All right. Have a good night, guys.